Alright. I'm back on Tuesday, April 13th. And, well, things have been kicking off in Minnesota. So we might have an interruption during the news stream, and that's okay. If that happens, if stuff starts to pop off, I'm just gonna quit the stream, let everybody in my chat raid woke or something, and then everybody in SciTube can go watch on the happening SciTube. Yeah. Looks like I've got everything set up where I want it. I think I'm gonna go through the hey Cap, see you in SciTube there. I think I'm going to go through what happened with the trial today. It wasn't extremely eventful. Maybe recap a little bit of what was going on last night. Not a lot to cover there, and then read through some news. I do have Woke's Twitch in the background, just waiting in case they go live, but we'll see about that. Also, we've got a potential special guest today, assuming that the schedule's all figured out correctly. Don't know when he'll be available, but another leftypol streamer. And it'd be cool to do some cross-promotional stuff. Thoughts on the army guy getting pepper sprayed by a cop? I don't remember that story. When did that happen? Send me a link. Is there a video? If there's a video, send it to me and I'll play it. And we can talk about it. I didn't hear about that story. There's so much going on. No, it is not. It's somebody else. It's somebody who's already been streaming. I don't want to like announce them, and then if they like miss the date, they end up like, no, it's not. It's neither of those people you guessed. I don't want to announce who it is, and then they might miss the date, and then people would get pissed off at them. But yeah, awesome. That looks like the video. Body camera. Was it body camera video 1 shows Windsor police officer pepper spray army officer. All right. That sounds like. Do I want to full screen this? Maybe I'll just do this.
Traffic stop at BP. Calling back. Felony traffic stop. Put your hands out the window. Felony traffic stop, 1836. Put your hands out the window. Put your hands out the window. How many occupants? All units 1013, 804, 803, felony stop. 18 Windsor, 1 East Windsor.
I might remember this if it's the one I'm thinking it is. So many of these things.
Come around your side. How many occupants are in your vehicle? Open the door slowly and step out. Open the door.
Second Lieutenant. I mean, it might be another of the same situation, but I think I've seen a different angle of this, maybe.
Open the door, get out the car! Hold.
Oh, yeah, it is the same one. If it's the one, yeah. If they said that you should be afraid, yeah. It's this, I've seen a version of this one. Damn.
Get out of the car now! Get out of the car now! I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated. Yo, what? Guess what? I'm a veteran too. I learned to obey. Get out of the car! What's going on? Get out of the car now!
I'm a veteran too. I know how to obey. Wow.
You're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
They think they're such badasses. You're fixing to ride the lightning, son. What the fuck?
Get out of the car!
Sir, just get out the car. Work with us and we'll talk to you. Get out the car.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out.
What's
Get out.
on? Get out the car.
Get out
I
now.
have not committed any crime.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest
For a
for.
traffic-
You're being detained. Okay, you're being detained for obstruction of justice.
Traffic violation. I do not have to get out.
This fucking guy is like totally confused.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me.
Not a
Get your
problem.
hands off me.
Back up,
I
Daniel.
didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Sir, get out of the car now.
Hey, sir.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, look, I'm trying to talk
Get out.
to you. Okay. I'm trying to talk.
Get out.
Just get out of my car. Can you please relax? Can
Get
you
out.
Please relax.
Get out of the car right now.
This is
Now.
not how you treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do
Back
anything.
up.
Oh, so he's apparently like not even a veteran, but an active service member. Notice how he doesn't shout pepper spray, pepper spray, pepper spray.
Get out of the car now.
That's fucked up.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, just get out the car. I'm trying to breathe.
Get out of the car now.
Once you've pepper sprayed somebody, you can't expect them to just comply with orders.
Get out of the car and get out.
They're gonna be like in a lot of pain.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Get out of the car now. Listen, take off your seatbelt and get out of the car.
I'm just gonna please.
You're gonna do what you're told. Get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the. Take your seatbelt off.
Look, my hands are out.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
Hands are out.
Don't reach in there, Daniel. Don't reach in there.
My hands are out. Please.
Yeah, this guy's just a fucking rookie. He's clueless.
Really messed up. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right
Get
now.
out of the car.
His dog is in there, got pepper sprayed too.
What are you?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about bad optics? Holy shit.
Get out of the car.
I'm reaching for my seatbelt.
Fine. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Straight onto the ground. Straight onto the ground.
Ma'am, is your commanding officer available?
Down. Let's go.
Is your commanding
Let's
officer
go.
available?
Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Please talk to
Get
me
on the
about what's
ground
going
now.
on.
Get on the ground and you're getting sprayed again. Get on the ground.
Can you please?
Yeah, I agree, former Hezbot. It's
Get on the ground now.
Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this?
You're
Why?
not cooperating.
Why am I being treated like this?
that's definitely the reason. No other reason. Yeah, thanks for the video. I'd seen that already, but it's a good one for people to see, to get an impression of what the cops are really like. And that's not even like an exceptional kind of thing like what happened with George Floyd. That's just like a routine traffic stop with somebody who's too scared to, you know, put his hands down out of sight because they'll think he's reaching for a gun. Which, I mean, especially given everything that's happened recently, that's a pretty reasonable fear to have. Yeah, I honestly never want to come to America just out of the possibility I might have to interact with the police, and that interaction has a high chance of going left. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, I'll post the link to, this is the news thread. I'll post the link in, the chat. This copy, there you go. That's the image address. Well, yeah. So if you want to follow along with the news, that's the link. You can open up the news thread. I'm not quite going to get to that yet. I wanted to talk a little bit about the trial and about the events in Minnesota first. So the trial kind of went on a speed run today. We finished up with the state prosecution witnesses, and now we've moved on to the defense witnesses. And Nelson and company have called up 6, I believe, witnesses today that they all sped through, where like normally they'd go for, I don't know, 2, 3 a day maybe. They got through 6. And some of them they got through like lightning fast. Asked like one question and they were done. It really seems like the defense just doesn't have anything. They had to bring back one of the previous police officers who testified before for the state. And the main event for today was this one cop who, God, I forget what it was he was doing, what his role was. But he was like, he trained people in like use of force. I'm not sure if he was with MPD or somebody else. But he basically said the complete opposite of everything that the other people had said about the use of force, and saying like, you know, yeah, just because somebody's saying that they're in pain, that doesn't mean that they're expressing that they're in pain. And, you know, somebody who's prone on the ground, they're actively aggressing against you if their feet kick a bit. It's pretty likely. I think somebody with the state, maybe Schlischer or somebody else, moved to impeach one of the defense's witnesses, probably this guy. He was like, they pinned him into a corner with his bullshit about like how George Floyd was totally fine, and that even like after he went limp, he presented a threat and all kinds of other bullshit. It was like if Pohl took the stand and was testifying about George Floyd's condition, you know, minus like the overtly racist memes, but it's the same kind of shit that they've been saying basically. So he's probably going to get struck from the evidence, and the witnesses are going to, I mean, the jury is going to be told to disregard his testimony, which was like completely at odds with everything else that they've heard so far, pretty much, including from other police officers about use of force, about like the legal expert about legal use of force, and about the medical experts about George Floyd's condition. So, you know, it's this one guy versus a ton of other experts. I'm not sure if there was any big motion that they were doing today. They had some motions early in the morning. What was it? Oh no, I think this was from. Oh, this is from the previous day. There isn't. I don't see today's update yet. They had some motion, but I don't think it was like a really big deal. Involving the cop testimony. Yeah. No rush on the update, Clash. My memory's not so good all the time. I don't think that there was anything huge with motions today. But it looks like they're on track to finish up all of the witnesses and the argument section this week. Next Monday should be the closing statements, after which they will sequester the jury for deliberation. That's where the jury is going to go through the evidence of the case and the arguments that are made by the two sides and decide whether they want to convict or acquit. There's 3 charges that Chauvin is facing. There's second and third degree murder, and there's second degree manslaughter. So yeah, he's probably gonna get at least third degree murder. It looks like the evidence is just too strong, and the defense has like no case at all. Completely zip, absolutely nothing. Probably going to get the manslaughter too. I think that's the way that they'll just stack them up to get the extra time. And I looked this up the other day, but I forget. He's looking at like decades behind bars as a maximum sentence, regardless of which degree murder he would get. Second degree murder is not as likely. They'd have to prove that he did what he did with malicious intent specifically, and not just like reckless behavior. So that's harder to prove, but I think they've got a solid case for that. It's really going to come down to the jury, and if there's anybody on there who's like a holdout who really wants the jury to be a hung jury and draw this out. But yeah, anything but like a conviction, and probably a quick conviction, is going to like exacerbate the situation. It's going to make it more tense, and that's the opposite of what the state and what MPD want. Their strategy right now seems to be trying to throw Chauvin and these other officers who were there under the bus, to scapegoat them as being the problem and draw attention away from the police department as a whole. That seems to be the direction they're going in. We'll see if it works. So I think that about covers it for the Chauvin trial for today and for the coming weeks. Probably going to be over sometime next week. They're also probably going to be ending earlier this week with like shorter days, and probably not going to go all 5 weekdays either. So yeah, I think that's about it. Last night there were a bunch of peaceful protesters out in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis. It's also in Hennepin County. We did not see a whole lot of action from the protesters. They didn't devolve into riots at any point that I saw. It seemed like they were being pretty calm and obedient of the orders that they were given by the police officers in riot gear. I didn't see they had state troopers there, but they had SWAT teams, but I didn't see National Guard, even though they were deployed yesterday. Basically, they kind of showed up to what I believe was the police precinct, and then they got pushed back step by step until they dispersed. That's pretty much what happened after the curfew. There were, there was gas being thrown at the protesters. There were what looked like rubber bullets, maybe, but not a whole lot happened last night. However, it did seem like it was moving faster, and people were getting more active and prepared more quickly than with the George Floyd riots. So we'll see how that develops. The whole case with Daunte Wright is ongoing, so we don't really know how that's going to develop yet. We'll have to wait and see. It was notable, I would say, that some of the people at the protests were ready and equipped to deal with things like gas canisters. Like, we saw somebody immediately put a traffic cone on top of one. There was somebody with a hockey stick who was knocking or trying to knock one back. People had shields and things like that, so they were equipped and they knew kind of what things could become, and they were prepared. But it didn't really escalate very much. People kind of just went with what the police told them to do. But the press was actively being antagonized by the police, and seemed to be pretty solidly on the side of the protesters. In fact, at the the press briefing that was done yesterday about the event, where you saw the police chief and the mayor speak, the reporters at the press event were really, really hostile to the mayor and to the police, and were asking a lot of difficult questions for them. So it seems like these were not like mainstream news reporters or anything. They were like local news, but it seems like the media is currently sympathetic to the protests, especially given how things went before, where protesters are being blamed as like, a bunch of thugs destroying the community and shit. What's this update? Unrelated, but apparently a 13-year-old kid got killed in Chicago by the police. Apparently Hispanic. They are live with family protest on the news now. All right, well, I'll pull that up. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, here's the stream. By the way, Dante Wright, who was killed in a Brooklyn Center, he was a father, 20-year-old, and he was a father of, I think, 2. Yeah, the reporters really did a good job of calling the police chief on his bullshit. Stepping away the moment I pull it up. The moment I pull it up, they step away. Motherfuck.
These are scenes we've been following for the last couple of days.
Oh, this is still relevant, but god damn it. Well, tell you what. They've got DVR on, so I'll just rewind it. Fuck it.
You don't pass the background check, you don't get.
Alright, that's about something else.
It wasn't no mistake. That was on purpose. You did.
Alright, this is also Brooklyn Center about Dante Wright.
How quickly they went through some of their witnesses.
Alright, here we go.
That tomorrow they will be released.
And don't
Alright, this should be it.
keep you covered on all the events happening across.
I like the technology lets me rewind shit like this now.
Also, a situation that's been happening.
I'm not sure how many. I think it's at least 2. He's a father of more than 1 kid. One of his kids was 2. I remember reading in an article yesterday.
Shaky, and we weren't able to listen in to.
No, it's all good. I got a link. All I had to do was rewind it.
Plug in their microphones again, and we're able to go back out to that.
It's just frustrating about how the timing was.
Along with more calls for justice, there's a rally in the city of Chicago for the death of a 13-year-old who died at the hands of police. So once again, more people stepping out demanding justice. Let's go listen into that for you right here on News Now from Fox.
Informed that tomorrow they will be releasing the video cams of the assassination of Adam Toledo, a 13-year-old boy here in Little Village. We are calling upon all the city residents and citizens to come out and support us tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be at the Federal Plaza, and we will try to have a TV there so we could show the video. What we were informed is that today possibly COPA will show the video to the families. We are known that the family is they're destroyed, and it's going to be hard for them to watch this video. It's going to be hard for us to watch this video. We've been demanding this video for over 2 weeks, and the mayor finally felt pressure enough to show the videos. We know that there's
because of Dante Wright.
funny things in this video where it might be edited, it might be destroyed, it might be prepared. They had enough time to edit it. They had enough time to tamper with it. So at this time, if evidence have been tampered, we're asking that the Department of Justice interferes and press charges against the mayor, press charges against the superintendent for interfering with evidence. We have been very peaceful. We continue to ask our citizens and our residents to stay peaceful. This is a peaceful protest. This is a protest about human rights at this time, and we're asking that all our citizens continue supporting us in a peaceful way. Tomorrow we are not looting. Tomorrow we are not destroying our city. It took us a long time to build our city, so we're not going to destroy it. That's not our MO. That's not our goal. Our goal is to change policies. Our goal is to defund the police, and our goal is for our community to get some justice. And finally, Adam could rest in peace with justice for all. It's been in our Constitution, and today we're asking that they respect our rights as humans. Today I would like to introduce one of our organizers, Cristian Armendariz, that will explain to you tomorrow's event.
I want to invite every single resident of Chicago. I want to invite every resident of Chicago to meet us up at Federal Plaza tomorrow at 5 p.m. We'll be hosting a peaceful rally. We won't be looting, we won't be vandalizing, nothing of that such kind. Prior to Adam Toledo's assassination by Chicago police, I didn't believe in defunding the police. But after all this injustice in the system, and most recent death of another brother, Dante White, we need to defund the police and fund our communities. With early child Head Start programs, after school youth programs, and the reopening of mental health clinics. The mayor has defunded our own communities to fund killers. We want our money back to fund our communities.
It's so sad that the police are fucking killing children.
KRISTIAN
And they're saying we've got to defund the police.
Little Village Community Council.
That's as far as they'll go.
Hi. My name is Mara Castillo, M-A-R-A Castillo, C-A-S-T-I-L-L-O. And I'm here today as a member of the Little Village Community Council. And I'm here today because I believe no man should die in the hands of a cop, especially a child. Regardless if a man is wrong, he has a right for a jury. As a mom, I have 3 teenagers. And as a mom, I have the right to know what has happened to my children. I'm also here today to support the cause to support the youth. The cause to support the youth. I'm the voice of the voiceless. We need to start educating our community, and especially the youth. They have rights. Also, we will start a campaign here in Little Village, here at this location. And a lot of people don't know their rights. And that's why we're here, so they can know what's going on. They can know their rights can be protected. And these people are afraid to speak up. And I'm here as a member to let everybody know that we are Adam and we have rights.
So our campaign began for the release of a body cam of a 13-year-old that got assassinated in our community. This campaign has now turned into a human rights campaign. People should know their rights. They have the right to ask for a FOIA and ask for the information of all the officers that have hurted them or have injured them or have killed them. So this campaign with our members, we are going to start educating our immigrants first, our citizens, and everyone that lives in the city of Chicago should know that they have rights. We have rights. And that's what our goal is, to educate our community, which is one of the largest immigrant communities, but one of the most resilient communities, one of the most strongest communities, and we will not let another child be murdered under our watch or in Little Village. So tomorrow, we invite every citizen of the city of Chicago to demand justice for Adam, demand justice for every individual that has been killed by any police officer, yet here in Chicago or across the nation, because this is now a pandemic. It's worse than the pandemic. They keep killing our children and they keep getting away with it. It is time that we put a stop to this. It is time that we scream, we yell, justice, justice. We want justice and a little bit of respect with some transparency. So today we invite every citizen of the city of Chicago to join us tomorrow at the Federal Plaza at 5 o'clock. Be there, bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring your dog, bring everybody. If we don't say nothing, they will continue murdering our kids. We need to put a stop to it. So do the
saying stuff isn't going to stop them from murdering your kids, man. They're going to keep on murdering your kids as long as they're around. And somebody said, I feel like if police were abolished, then private police would simply take over. Yeah. And if private police were abolished, the same people who were doing this shit, who were police, who became private police, they would become like roving thugs. You gotta, it's a systemic problem, it's an institutional problem, but it is also like an individual problem. The people in these institutions become like a problem as individual people too. And you gotta figure out how to deal with that as well. It's, yeah, you'd see the KKK gain membership again, exactly. Yeah, this is like several levels removed from what needs to happen if you actually want to solve the problem. Defunding the police is like, they're gonna reduce the budget by like 5% maybe if they actually did that. Come on.
So we are,
but it's a step, it's a first step, I guess.
we want to thank you and again
to people being aware.
Federal Plaza.
Who are we? Adam. Who are we? Adam. Who are we?
Adam.
Say his name.
Adam.
Say his name.
Adam.
Say his name.
Adam Toledo.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Quick question. Can you clarify the timing of the release?
I just wanted to give them time to speak about this. I feel like they're almost going to where they switch back.
100% sure because the information that we get changes.
But yeah, what do people want me to stay on this? There's like a couple minutes left.
You might see the video today at 5 o'clock. Again, we are not sure. We know that COPA and the families and the lawyers of the families are in conversations. We know that the family has asked the media not to be allowed, not to disclose where would the video be shown out of respect, and we are trying to respect the family's decision.
The city, as you know, is bracing for unrest. With the release of this video, what we saw in the suburbs of Minnesota with the Derek Chauvin trial, you're calling for peace. Others who might show up tomorrow with a different idea, what do you say to them?
So to those that want to come in to our campaign and join, come with us peacefully, respectfully, and again, this is our city. We will not destroy our city. We will not loot our city. We will respect our city and our citizens.
Is it your city though?
With that idea, we are going to ask them to leave. We will not want violence. They're not welcome, and that's not our ammo. Our ammo is justice and transparency and clarity. That's all we want. Justice for Adam Toledo.
And as you also know, the family hasn't seen the video.
Yeah, all right. I think that's enough. Woke is on. I didn't hear it for some reason. Maybe it just doesn't update properly. Let me see. Yeah, I guess Twitch is weird. Where like if you're already on the channel, it often doesn't actually update and show you. All right, let me move me down a little bit. There we go. All right. Post-USSR, as soon as the police and the entire institutions collapsed, the mafias took over. So I could see the KKK becoming the security forces of the USA. Problem with that is that the KKK doesn't have that level of organization, I don't think. You'd be more likely to see like private contractors or something, I would imagine, but they would have a very similar character to the KKK because of all of the people who left the police who were into that kind of stuff.
Fight them with their weapons, we will lose every time. Our weapons are not carnal.
People don't have the will to shoot at reactionary cops. Yeah, I feel like that's true. I feel like most people are too averse to violence to really like to even defend themselves in most cases.
She's got that song that says, "Southern trees bear strange fruit. Northern streets."
What happened to the guy that rammed the Capitol? He died. He was shot, and he seemed like he was dead on the scene. He hit 2 police officers. One of them died in the hospital, and I believe the other survived.
It's no different.
It's their cities, but the stores aren't. That's a good way of putting it. It's their city. They live there. They can, and that's the other thing about, that's such a strange thing to say to me, when it's like, we're not going to burn or whatever. Like, because it's our city. Well, if it's your city, then it's yours to do with as you please. And if somebody is taking the power away from you and doing what they want with it instead, then it's at your disposal, right? Like, if it's really your city, if it really belongs to you, that's what belonging to you implies, that you have the right to dispose of it. I don't know.
The pure truth, the God truth, guess what power does?
The energy is not with the left. I don't know. I feel like that's changing.
Uncover the lie.
Their city is technically there for... Yeah, since it's their city, it's there for the taking. Well, I mean, if it is theirs, they don't need to take it. It's already theirs. I mean, this is all like a rhetorical semantic argument anyway. Why did he do it? The guy who drove into the Capitol, I I don't think that any information's come out about that. He died immediately, so they didn't question him or anything. I don't think he had a manifesto.
In order for us to heal, we've got to know who we are. We've got to know the power that we carry. We've got to know that what we say and what we speak.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, if it's possible, you should have a firearm to just imminent self-defense, even the way that things are going right now. It's a good idea.
We've got to get control.
America is definitely less docile than the UK. Well, compared to the protests that happened after that cop brutally murdered somebody recently, and the UK was just like very complacent at the protests. I guess that's true.
Has changed. The paradigm has shifted.
UK is averse to all violence. Yeah, maybe. They also don't have like a gun culture or any other kind of stuff like that, or like a militia culture the way that the US does.
Find out who we are.
I don't know how much that connects to protests exactly, but you know. Americans should consider how lucky they are when it comes to less docility for their politics. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, like, maybe compared to the UK, but I think that that's more just the UK being more complacent than the vast majority of places, including the US. I think the US is probably worse than average in that respect. I mean, you compare that to, like, France or Greece or somewhere that's not a, you know, more or less the first world. But
none of us would get the luxury of what she has got.
Public safety nets. What is the UK doing with public safety nets? Yeah, the UK is like really fucked. I mean, yeah, it's bad. Too many people just voted for Boris and act surprised the Tories fuck them. It happens in the US too. But yeah.
So here's the biggest ask, and I'm going to end here. We're going to walk toward the FBI building. I want to say something about that.
They're going to walk to the FBI building.
The community gets terrorized by the people in that.
That's Brooklyn Center. That's this video.
In my office, we handle about 100.
Oh yeah, social safety. Yeah, okay.
And visited by the FBI in recruitment for them to become informants.
Yeah, they said FBI building. I don't know what the I don't know what the situation is with the FBI building, but that's what I heard.
FBI agent who's in
I heard FBI building, so I don't know what's up with that, but if they're actually going to go protest the FBI, that's pretty cool.
FBI agent in that building, and when he said very clearly that they treat people of color differently.
He mentioned an FBI agent again.
Take it anymore. So what did he do? He leaked the policies that were in play to treat us as not being human. This is going on everywhere, whether it's that building or the building we're going to walk nearby or all the other buildings that are happening. So I want to ask you one thing, and I'm going to end with that. I want you to make a promise, because I don't want you to show up to a protest and take a picture or think that you did something. You didn't do anything today. You just showed up. It's important, but you just showed up. I need you to make a commitment to Dante's family. I want you to make a commitment to George Floyd's family. I want you to make a commitment.
Talking about FBI infiltration. Maybe, yeah.
A commitment to all the families that you are not going to stop. Protesting doesn't have to end this moment. That's right. You need to continue and demand justice in your city. Wherever you go home, you can start a march there. Wherever you go, you can have a conversation. Whatever faith you are, talk to your church, your synagogue, and your mosque, and ask them, why are they not here? Why are they not demanding justice? We need to build this movement, and it takes people who have the courage to show up right here. That's right. So if you believe in justice, if you care, if you feel that frustration, if you have that emotion in your belly right now, take that home. And with that I say, as every time, we are always going to demand justice by any freaking means necessary.
Tagging is getting based. Nice.
All right. Mic check. Mic check.
Yeah, so they have a curfew in Brooklyn Center for 7 p.m. It's currently 6:10 p.m. in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, Central Daylight Time.
For safety.
Yeah, that's. I need to add it. Go back to what I was doing before with the.
The more that they ramp up, the more money that they spend, the more y'all know that we're ready. Now, there's hundreds out here. People were out here all
There we go.
nights ago. People were out here all night yesterday.
Bringing back the classics.
We're all ready. We know what it is. So we're gonna march.
There we go.
We're gonna take it to the FBI. So everybody.
It's weird to think we have curfews now for the virus, of course. Well, and for protests too.
Please listen to the marshals, but stay tight and staying together. And one thing I always say is, do not forget why you're here. Do not forget why you're here. If you got neighbors or you got somebody trying to take you out of your element, don't let them do that. Don't let them take you out of this right now. Keep the focus on here. Keep the focus on us. Keep the focus on Dante. Keep the focus on why you came here. We're going to keep this moving. If Dante don't get it, shut it down. If Dante don't get it, shut it down. If Dante don't get it, shut it down. I said if Dante don't get it, shut it down. I said if Dante don't get it, I said if Dante don't get it, I said if Dante don't get it.
Well, that's a pretty good start. It's only like the second actual night of protests. Sunday night was kind of impromptu. But yeah, they already got somebody out there who's like organizing shit. This is some pretty good shit. So for anybody who's just coming in, since I saw the viewer count went up, the people in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, already have somebody who's like trying to get them organized and actually directing all of this discontent into a productive direction, and warning them apparently about FBI infiltrators. So things are looking like they're accelerating. It's looking like the reaction time to tragedies like this, like what happened with George Floyd, with Dante Wright, it looks like that process is speeding up now. So
I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking that some people would be like, well, they need.
This is Salt Lake City, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to reading the news. That was a hell of a boost that we got from that the based zone in Brooklyn Center. Yeah, that's right. Let's fucking go. Porky is scared. Porky is scared.
They have people that are trained in that situation.
Yeah, Utah. I'm not sure what's going on in Utah, but people are out. What do we actually? I'll just Salt Lake City, Utah. Oh, it's off screen. Top left is Salt Lake City. Top center is Salt Lake City. The rest look like Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Actually, the top left and top center are the same person.
What's the work? What other work are you doing immediately now?
Immediately now?
Yeah.
We're protesting Friday for the body cam footage for Brian Valencia still. Right. This will be the third protest.
And it's been about a year, right? Has it been almost a year, Brian Valencia?
We would like that body cam footage for his family.
Which is one of those good things. Okay, so in Duante
body cam footage
immediately, which was a good thing,
right?
I mean, and I appreciated the chief of police saying, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to be transparent.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this shooting or whatever it is. I assume that the cops shot somebody else.
Released immediately, and they're fighting us tooth and nail. So we're.
It's good that demanding the body cams is becoming more normal. It's a good sign.
And that's horrible because that's body cam. That's public. I mean, that's what happens in the public. All right. Well, so we got.
Wait, who quoted Malcolm X?
Okay, so next Friday.
Protest on Friday.
I fucking missed that. I'm paying too much attention to the chat.
Sim Gill's office, red paint.
No, shut up.
Well, yeah, the body cams don't mean anything if you don't have them on. Ensure that they record and then actually get the footage afterward. It's like they started using body cams, but then they don't ever release the footage. So, what good is that?
You heard it. Black Lives Matter Utah is all about peaceful.
Davu's exactly right.
All about peaceful protest, peaceful awareness. I promise you that Lex will kick you out.
Yeah, and there's like this shit, like they fall the fuck off all the time. So if the cop's actually like premeditating something, they'll like unfasten it, throw it off. It's like, oh, so the Velcro just ripped open or whatever the fuck. It came unbuckled or some shit.
6 o'clock. I know there's another rally. And
yeah, oops. Fucking oops.
The Party for Socialism and Liberation, they're going to be doing a rally on Friday as well. I'm not
PSL is there. Well, okay, that's fucking... That's like the first that I've heard of something like that.
For the problem that is...
Those parties have been like weirdly absent from a lot of these events.
Police brutality is... I mean, it just is. It just is.
Alright, sounds like they're just kind of PSL, Party of Socialism and Liberation. That's who was shouted out, that they're going to be there doing an event. I think he's just kind of...
People who cannot control their emotions.
Yeah, he's just talking generic stuff.
Someone who was shot.
Yeah, I think that the PSL might have been like one of the few who actually showed up. PSL is one of the biggest in the US. But they're like, that's not saying much. The DSA is like the biggest socialist organization, but it's not a party. I'm not sure about like actual parties, what the rankings are, but DSL is like... PSL is like one of the top ones.
In a lot of situations should be people who are
I don't know if you count like CPUSA or whatever, but they're probably like the top one. I don't have the numbers on my head. Yeah, I haven't seen too many. It's unfortunate that, like, I'm sure that there are people out there, but you just don't hear much or see much of them in these videos. I wonder if maybe woke is making any like executive decisions about stuff like that. DSA is an arm of the Democratic Party. I mean, to a degree, yes and no. DSA is so decentralized, though, that there are some like local orgs that are pretty good. DSA has more elected officials than any of them. Yeah, I mean, that does go hand in hand with them being pretty friendly with the Democrats. Yeah, I mean, most of the people in the DSA aren't really socialists. Like, they're not communists. But yeah, like they have gotten some people elected, which might be useful, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the DSA. I think that it's something that you need to be very critical of and figure out how to handle correctly to get the most use out of them. But all right, I think that's enough talking about protests and shit. Let's get to the news. Yeah, it's wildly different. Like, there's some chapters of the DSA that are doing like point of personal privilege and stuff, and like progressive stack, and then there's others that are reading Lenin. So it's all over the place. Yeah, and like some of them also, they work with local organizations and don't like require people to be actually members of the DSA in order to work with them. So it depends. It's all over the place. All right, anyway. Peru faces polarizing presidential runoff as teacher takes votes by surprise. Oh, so here's where Peru's going. Peru faces a polarizing presidential runoff vote in which a hard-left school teacher who caught a wave of popular discontent over the coronavirus and a cratering economy will face the far-right heiress to one of the country's most enduring and controversial political dynasties. How could I not click that? Yeah, left-wing teachers are awesome. Oh yeah, the DSAs, that was like a thing back on, fuck, I think it was before Bunker Chan, I think it was 8chan, leftypol. There was a word filter where DSA got filtered to Democratic Cops of America because there was like bullshit about people were arguing over whether or not they should let like somebody who was an organizer for a police union be in like leadership for their chapter. Yeah, that was during the old BO. Yeah, that's what I thought. That was a while back. God, that was years ago now. But yeah, the DSA has like really fucking spotty record. Enough about the fucking DSA though. They get enough attention as it is. If you want to actually like have a discussion about that, you should probably like sit down and really do it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna ping the guest today.
I think we need to understand, and right now, you have to understand that it's going to take an overhaul of the system that's necessary.
So yeah, let's get into the Peru thing. Well, actually, before we do that, let's look at some of these other headlines. Belfast protests. Belfast protests. Burning car rams into police line as nightly rioting continues. Video. The disturbance in Belfast has entered its second week despite calls for peace and unity coming from political and religious leaders. More than 74 police officers have reportedly been injured during the unrest. It's not clear how many protesters, if any, were hurt in the violence, if any. God, it's just like wall-to-wall stuff today. Shit's still mad. Yeah. CPI Maoist protesters opposing mining projects surface in Kozhikode district. Protesters prepared by the Communist Party of India Maoist were found at Chakatapara in Kozhikode district on Tuesday. The protesters were in opposition to a controversial mining project proposed in the area years ago. According to sources, the protesters, the posters, I think it means protesters, were in the name of, or protests were in the name of the Banasura Area Committee of the CPI Maoist. It alleged that, where did they put up posters? Okay, whatever. It looks like they put up posters. Which is weird to be a news story. Were in the name of the Banasura Area Committee of the CPI Maoist. It alleged that the Brahminical Hindutva fascist Ballari Reddy should not be allowed to touch his feet on Chakatapara. So, that's more development of what the CPI Maoists are up to. Let me see. I think that's the same guy. Put that. There we go. Austin, U.S. adds 500 troops in Germany despite Trump pledge. Adding 500 troops to a current total of about 35,000 is a symbolic gesture of solidarity with Germany and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but it also fills a practical need that commanders in Europe had identified months ago. Austin said the extra troops will have a role in space, cybersecurity, and electronic warfare. I like that space is just casually included there now. It's a little weird. Germany's armed forces seeks recruits for domestic deployment through voluntary military service. What the fuck is happening in Germany? In Homeland Security. Defense Minister Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, Christian Democratic Union CDU, the State Secretary in the Defense Ministry Peter Tober, and the Deputy Inspector General of the Bundeswehr Armed Forces Markus Lobenthal presented the project at a press conference. It initially provides for a 3-month basic military training, followed by 4 months of special training for a total of about 1,000 soldiers. What the fuck's happening in Germany?
Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! Say his name!
It's a UDA branch trying actual ethnic cleansing in Carrickfergus. Alright, well, I'll open up that one. That article you linked. Sorry, UVF. Okay, there's a UVF branch trying actual ethnic cleansing in Carrickfergus. Shit. UVF are middle class Brit Nats. Okay. UVF was the middle class. UVF was the middle class one founded by former squatties. UDA was the working class one. UDA was more radical, i.e. violent, but the UVF was bigger and had more resources. Thank you for the clarification, Debut. Where's your debut? That's the French from like the beginning of the Internationale, right? Yeah, what the fuck is happening in Germany, right? All right.
We are the people. The motherfucking people.
All right, I'll get to that first since that was linked in the side tube.
Say everywhere we go. The pigs want to know.
It's them trying to mass recruit people into the police armed forces because nobody wants to join, so only Nazis join. I mean, that makes sense. Like, who voluntarily joins? Who voluntarily joins the military anymore, except like poor people or people who want to go kill like foreigners, right? All right, let's let me pull this up just a little bit more. All right, I'll start with the UVF story since that was linked inside too. Were there more? There were some more stories. I'll get to that later. I'll go ahead and read these that I opened up now. You get right in any military, but in Germany it's more concentrated because of the Bundeswehr is so small. Shame shit is Britain. The army's literally all far right. Yeah, I mean, it's a common feature anywhere you go, really. Something about the military attracts rightoids, right? They would overthrow Corbyn if he had won in December 2019 election. That's a disturbing thought. Alright, UVF orders removal of Catholic families from Carrickfergus housing estate in 21st century form of ethnic cleansing. Riots on our streets, thuggery... Wait, what? That just doesn't make grammatical sense. Riots on our streets, thuggery, masquerades as political protest. The UVF has ordered the removal of Catholic families from a housing estate in Carrickfergus in what has been termed a form of 21st century ethnic cleansing. The terror gang was behind attacks on 3 homes in the Woodburn estate in which they believed Catholics had been staying. Sources say the attacks were based purely on rumors about the occupants or people linked to them. Windows of properties on Cherry Walk and Glenfield Walk were smashed late Wednesday night. The home of a pensioner in Pinewood Avenue who only moved into the bungalow last month was also targeted. Some of the occupants are understood to have since fled the area. And that's all that they got on Sunday Life. Well, that's fucking worrisome. Shit's getting pretty serious. Republicans need to do something about these loyalists going around with their madness. I mean, I think there was like some rumor that there was some kind of Republican response with the protests that were happening. I don't know. Let me go to the other article on. Wait, there we go. So, Belfast protest, burning car rams into police line is... Burning car rams into police line as nightly rioting continues. Holy shit. Holy shit. That escalated quickly. The thing is, at the moment, the loyalists are mostly attacking the police. Republicans are trying to stop youths retaliating because they want the state to crack down on the loyalists. I mean, that seems like a reasonable play from them. Damn. Police officers equipped with riot gear were pelted with stones, petrol bombs, and fireworks during the latest night of protests in Northern Ireland on Friday. Water cannons were deployed against demonstrators in response. The disturbance in Belfast has entered its second week, despite calls to peace, for peace, and unity coming from political and religious leaders. More than 74 police officers have reportedly been injured during the unrest. It's not clear how many protesters, if any, were hurt in the violence. Oh, it looks like we're gonna have some footage here. There's a big fight between the Protestants at the moment, with law and order loyalists versus the anarcho-loyalists. Yeah. DUP is a party of government. They need people to respect the authority of the state. Yeah, this is just weird right now. It's like almost like they're LARPing or something. Like they saw this kind of stuff happening last year and they're like, alright lads, we're gonna go do the same thing, even though it's completely counterproductive to our political aims. Like, what's the point of this from their perspective? The loyalists know they won't. This won't change shit. Then I guess it's just they're blowing off steam or something. But also the fact that some UDA commanders are egging this on. I mean, if so, I mean UDA is the other like more radical ones, right? You said so. The cocaine smuggling operation got caught. That sounds like it would be very interesting to add on to the story if you got that article.
So welcome police as well. That's right, the police are among us. That's exactly right. Because that's what they do. Because they're really afraid of.
What the fuck is happening with that audio? I just need to quit playing so many videos at once. Yeah, this just seems like a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing. Thank you, Dibu. DP is a party of government. They need people to respect the authority. Oh, yeah, I read that, yeah. Alright, yeah, so here's the cocaine smuggling story, I guess. Alright, I think that's probably enough for the visual there. Yeah, so what else? Clashes between police servicemen in Northern Ireland, PSNI, and violent protesters were reported on Friday at Tiger Bay, a loyalist area in North Belfast, as well as New Lodge, a nationalist area. At one point, a police line was targeted with a car, which was set on fire and pushed toward the officers by demonstrators. A similar carjacking and torching tactic was used during a tense Wednesday night when a bus was destroyed by protesters in West Belfast. I wouldn't call that similar, other than, like, they set a vehicle on fire. It's kind of different to set it on fire and then roll it at the police line. I mean, one's just general property destruction and the other one is like basically siege tactics. PSNI and used anti-riot armor and police dogs and deployed water cannon to quell the unrest. What is with the grammar in this article? The clashes went on despite calls from some politicians like DUP Representative Gavin Robinson to suspend mass gatherings, including protests, due to the death of the Duke of Edinburgh. Gavin Robinson's greatly encouraged to see sentiments expressed already that any planned protest parade should be cancelled as a mark of respect for the late Duke of Edinburgh. I trust all Unionists and Loyalists will agree that even with peaceful intent, that nothing should besmirch his memory. The discontent in Northern Ireland turned violent last week. It was stirred by the post-Brexit status of Northern Ireland's ambiguous status in Britain's trade with the EU, which allows the Union to tax goods coming across the Irish Sea. Unionists feel betrayed by the conditions of the deal, saying that it undermined Northern Ireland's identity. Adding fuel to the fire was a decision not to prosecute members of the Irish Republican Sinn Féin party for flouting COVID-19 restrictions during the funeral of a controversial activist and prison break organizer Bobby Story last year. Yeah. That's just context that was already established for anybody who'd seen the story. Where is it? Alright, that's right, it's still in this window. There we go. Ooh, there we go. Alright, so here's what the other story that was just linked. UDA's Gary Fisher, spooked by police drones, halts all cocaine importation.
You hear what I'm saying?
That's Gary Fisher, I guess. Southeast Antrim UDA boss Gary Fisher has called a temporary halt to all cocaine importation over fears the terror gang is still being bugged by the National Crime Agency. The paranoid drug cartel boss is even wary about leaving his Green Island home over suspicions his every move is being watched by the police drones. Loyalist sources say Fisher's nerves are wrecked after 3 of his closest lieutenants, Clifford Trigger Irons, 43, Glenn Burns, 38, and David Weir, 38, were remanded in custody, charged with cocaine dealing. That's nice quick article. So that's, well, yeah, that adds some interesting layers to the story. So they're trying to get the police to fuck off, I guess, so that they can do their dealings in peace. Alright, what's next? Let's do Peru first. Peru faces polarizing presidential runoff as teacher takes voters by surprise. Pedro Castillo will face Keiko Fujimori, the far-right heiress to one of the country's enduring and controversial political dynasties.
It depends on you. When they get to the point where they realize we just ain't gonna put up with it no more, they'll stop shooting us. I guarantee you.
Alright, Peru faces a polarizing presidential runoff vote in which a hard-left schoolteacher who caught a wave of popular discontent over the coronavirus and a cratering economy will face the far-right heiress to one of the country's most enduring and controversial political dynasties. Pedro Castillo, a veteran teachers union leader, took pollsters and voters by surprise in Sunday's first, not just a teacher, but a union leader, took pollsters and voters by surprise in Sunday's first round, winning 18.47%, with 84% of the official vote counted. In second place, Keiko Fujimori, daughter of the jailed former leader Alberto Fujimori, polled 13.12%, closely followed by 2 more far-right candidates. So it sounds like they split the vote a little bit there, allowing Pedro Castillo to take the top spot. Castillo, who was largely unknown before polling day, stunned the country as he swept up votes in poorer regions of the country, winning in 16 of Peru's 24 regions and by more than 50% in 2 of the poorest Andean states. Holy shit. That does sound like a fucking sweep. The blindfold has just been taken off the eyes of the Peruvian people, he told jubilant supporters from a balcony in his hometown of Tacabamba in the highland of Cajamarca region. And this is Keiko Fujimori during a speech at party headquarters in Lima, Peru on April 11th. They have a picture of Pedro. Yeah, here's Pedro Castillo on April 8th in Lima, Peru. We're often told that only political scientists, constitutionalists, erudite politicians, those with grand degrees can govern a country. They've had enough time, he said to Cheers' people. Damn, he sounds like a man of the people. He says to Cheers' people danced in the streets. Castillo became a prominent figure in 2017 during a teacher strike over pay, and in October he announced he would run for president for the leftist Peru Libre party after campaigning at a grassroots level. But in opinion polls ahead of the election, he had failed to make it into the list of top 6 candidates until days before the vote. He barely registered 3% in a poll taken in mid-March. Well, I mean, doesn't that just make it sound like the polls are fucking bullshit? Honestly. Like, if the polls are saying, well, you're only polling at like 3% right up until the moment that matters, but then you fucking come out on top, how good are the polls? Adriana Urrutia, a political scientist who heads the pro-democracy organization Transparencia, said his anti-system discourse has managed to catch all the discontent, the anger, and the preoccupation of the electorate that are affected by the pandemic. In Peru, inequality translates into political opinions. A large part of the population has many unattended demands in places that the state doesn't get to, and the traditional political class doesn't represent. Castillo has tapped into public anger over widespread political corruption and the handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Peru has one of the world's worst COVID-19 death tolls, with an excess mortality rate almost 3 times the official figure of nearly 55,000 deaths. Keiko Fujimori, like her father, a highly divisive figure, had promised an iron fist approach to crime and corruption. She herself is under investigation for money laundering, which she denies, and has spent months behind bars in pre-trial detention. Shit, Jesus. Her father governed Peru in the 1990s and was convicted of death squad killings and rampant corruption. The prospect of a polarized race does not bode well as Peru's battered economy recovers amid spiraling unemployment and poverty, says Fiona Mackey, regional director at the Economist Intelligence Unit for Latin America and the Caribbean. It is clear that the political environment in Peru, which has been highly unstable for years, will, if anything, deteriorate, she said. I mean, you say that, but this seems like a good sign. I don't know. What does chat think? Surprise top spot in the initial vote, and now they're going to a runoff? Although I don't know how Peru works. Are they going to do like how many people are going to be in the runoff? That matters. So all right, looks like we got somebody who could come on, not a special guest, but somebody who's been on before.
Black youth, they matter. Wave that flag up there. Come on now. Black youth, they matter.
All right, whenever ready. I've got the voice chat open. Cool. Missed the article. Yeah, I mean, what happened was this teachers unionist got a surprise top spot in the initial vote in Peru's election, and gonna be a runoff against what's her name, Keiki Fujimori, daughter of the previous president. So, damn, that did take a wild clash. Holy shit. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Shining Path also, but I would bet they have. Yeah, the last that one witness was, was Paul, pretty much. The Bay Area. Yeah, seriously, thanks for all the work you've done with that channel and with doing the summaries afterward, Clash. Really big help. It's important shit. I wish more people were seeing it. But the trial's getting a pretty good viewing now. Now that it's actually going. Alright, so that was this article. I think I'll wait for our this other guest to hop on before I move on to the next one. Yeah, our special guest may not make it today. I'm not sure. Depends on how late we go, maybe. I think he might be on a later time, a later schedule, different time zone. Thanks, E90. I'm trying to give the people what they want. And I'm starting with news, but we can see from there where it goes. I was doing restreams of protests, but I'm not sure my hardware can take it much anymore. So, Woke's doing a pretty good job these days anyway. Let's see. The next thing is the CPI mouse. If you find nothing to cover, you can always play NES games on stream. I mean, yeah, but I want to avoid playing video games. It seems like it's too easy. We've also got we got another streamer who does that now. Let me actually, I don't know if, no, nobody's online right now. Yeah, from leftypol. I'll, hold on. There's a SyncTube channel. I'll put, I think it's, let me actually check first before I tell you what it is. Actually, open up the link. Make sure that I've got the right address. Yeah, that's it. Oh wait, no it's not. Hold on. Oh no, it's got some weird name where it's like stream. Yeah, yeah. I forget the fucking name for the stream SciTube channel. He does have a Twitch though.
But I'll tell you who I am. My name is Zoya Cole. My name.
All right. Let me find the channel real quick. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Doing India? Yeah, India's next up. Let's see. I'm the only one. I thought. What the fuck? Okay, hold on. It says I'm the only one in the chat. Trying to chat with somebody right now, but yeah, I'm doing the story on CPI Maoists, or allegedly them. There's posters that got put up that are attributed to them, but I don't know the details. Oh, it's also a really fucking short story. That's the whole story right there. Let me see. Try this again. I'm the only one in the meeting, huh? What the fuck? If I like I need to like unpin. Yeah. Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty setting up the next person coming on, but yeah, this is a really short story on CPI Maoists, so I could probably get through it without. He's got like a ton of SNES games. He was playing a bunch of like Super Metroid and shit, I forget what the game was. Some racing game, and Yoshi's Island were the ones that I've seen him doing most recently. Yeah, I have not played Super Metroid, so I don't want to spoil myself, since it's the kind of game that, you know, it's a puzzle. So I'll like listen to him and talk to him, but I try to avoid paying too much attention to the actual game. I'll get to it at some point, I guess. All right, so I'll keep an eye out for when this stuff is working, and I'll just go ahead and read the article now. Yeah, I might like do something lighter, like playing games, if I start earlier than when I'm gonna start reading the news. Like I might play games for 30 minutes or an hour and then start reading the news at the specified time. But yeah, all right, I think. All right, that was just something else. Yeah. Alright, gonna go ahead and read the article while I wait for shit to be sorted out. This is a short one. CPI Maoist posters opposing mining project surface in Kojikodi district. I'm not sure how that's the correct pronunciation, but you can read it. Kojikodi district, April 13th, 2021. Posters prepared by the Communist Party of India Maoist were found at Chakatapara in Kojikodi district on Tuesday. The posters were in opposition to a controversial mining project proposed in the area years ago. According to sources, the posters were in the name of the Banasura Area Committee of the CPI Maoist. It alleged that the Brahminical Hindu fascist Ballari Reddy should not be allowed to touch his feet on Chakatapara. The posters allege that the local Grama Panchayat and Pinaraya Vijayan Vijayan government were, yeah, the Pinarayi Vijayan government were rolling out the red carpet for the mining lobby to Chakatapura. The CPI Maoist was accused of trying to hoodwink the people and evict them from their places for the project. That's just such a weird claim to make. The mining project proposed during the tenure of the Left Democratic Front government in 2006 to 11 had been put on the back burner. I mean, here's a source. Maybe it's got more info.
By the police. And they took him to the...
Fuck, I've never seen a .ece before. It's not being recognized as a link either. But yeah, so it looks like they're fighting back against, you know, corporate lobbyists, getting the government to help them strip the minerals out. All right, so that was it for the articles I'd already opened. Let's listen in real quick on. So it's 10 minutes to curfew in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota.
Not because all of us, most of us are people of color, and that we know the oppression of the system that the police brings upon us.
That looks like a fucking tank.
We stand here too because we have children. And many days and nights I worry about my children. A couple of them are somewhere around here. And they're 20, 22, 23 years old. And I'm always worrying. And I'm always praying that nothing happens to them. So, as we're standing here, we all need to pledge that we need to continue fighting. Yes. We have to keep organizing. I, as a director of Asamblea de Derechos Civiles, a faith-based organization that has been
U.S. Assembly for Civil Rights
for the immigrant movement in Minnesota, and also as the chair of the Civil Rights for Immigrants campaign of the Gamillion Network in 17 states and 44 organizations, I'll tell you that we are keeping our fight over there too. I know in Pennsylvania, I know in Missouri they're doing it. I know they're doing it in Wisconsin, in Chicago, and we are all in solidarity, and we will win. I know we will win.
That's a good sign that they're doing coordination at that level.
We will win. We will win. We will win. We will win. Say his name.
Well, it's one thing to say, it's another to do it, but, you know, solidarity and Godspeed.
Say his name. Louder. 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 Thank you.
Well, Day Gang is looking like they're doing pretty good right now. Alright, let's see. Alright, no news from the tech side of things. Alright, I'm gonna go back to reading headlines. Yeah, let's get some AVOs in the chat. UK bill shielding soldiers from war crimes charges challenged in House of Lords. Its deeply controversial overseas operations bill has enjoyed easy passage in the elected lower house, the Commons, partly because the government enjoys an 80-seat majority, and partly because the opposition Labour Party has declined to oppose the measure. Thank you, Labour, for being an effective opposition government. I bet that's a pretty short article. Oh, that's actually not that short. Lords vote to amend overseas opposition bill to ensure serious offenses by military personnel, including genocide and torture, can be prosecuted. I'm so glad that that's something that has to be legislated to become a possibility. Yeah, the British government's attempts to shield its armed forces from prosecution for torture, war crimes, and even genocide is facing stiff opposition in the upper house of the country's parliament. Yeah, that was in the thread already. In the unelected House of Lords, unlike the House of Commons, where the bill has been widely denounced as a dangerous and shameful measure, repeated attempts have been made to amend it to ensure serious crimes committed by the UK's armed forces can still result in prosecution. Gotta love it when the House of Lords is being better than the House of Commons about stuff like this. Holy shit. Yeah, alright, so I don't think there's that much to say about this necessarily. The amendment to allow for prosecution of those crimes was overwhelmingly passed with cross-party support. And they're worried that they're going to steamroll it through House of Commons. Well, maybe you should have fucking done something with it besides allowing it to pass, dipshit. Don't complain about it now, because you're getting outflanked from the left by the House of Lords. Holy fuck. The sheer incompetence. Alright, enough of that story. Fucking pissed me off. Alright. Enjoy your food, Clash. They can't ignore us. Activists break into Israeli arms factory in Oldham, Palestine. Solidarity activists broke into an Israeli weapons factory in Oldham today, spraying the computers with red paint and scrawling slogans on the walls. After storming the factory in the early hours, the three people, members of the Palestine Action Group, climbed onto the roof and vowed to stay there until removed. They didn't it sounds like they didn't even do sabotage or anything, that they just spray painted the computers.
I'm not using my handheld mic.
It's like, okay, yeah, it's symbolic because it looks like blood or something, I guess. But Palestine Solidarity activists broke into an Israeli weapons factory in Oldham today, spraying the computers with red paint and scrawling slogans on the walls. After storming the factory in the early hours, the three activists, members of the Palestine Action Group, climbed onto the roof and vowed to stay there until removed. Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty based. I'm surprised that they didn't, do anything more substantial, although I guess it would be, heavy criminal charges or something like that. I mean, that could, if you sabotage the weaponry, that could legitimately save lives, possibly. The Oldham factory is owned by drones giant Elbit Systems, Israel's largest private arms firm. So they're, really going for it. Further action took place at Elbit's Bristol offices, again with activists occupying the roof. Alright, we might get somebody on tonight, we'll see. Think. Alright. Avon and Somerset police said that the force was monitoring the protest, though it considered it a civil matter. Both the Oldham and Bristol sites were forced to shut down as a result of the protests. Okay, well, hey, that is pretty effective. Which left windows smashed and a war crime scene tape stuck to the doors. So the crime scene tape, police line do not cross kind of tape, but it says war crime scene. Alright, so I need to join the call then. Oh shit. How do I join then? I need to figure out how this works with the chat. Yeah, the call is currently being placed, right? Shit. Let me try shutting it down and reopening it.
I'm a civil rights attorney and activist.
Alright. While that's going, Greater Manchester Police said that 2 female activists had been arrested at Oldham and emergency services were present today afternoon. The pair were chained to the doors of the factory. Morning Star spoke to 3 protesters occupying the roof. One, who did not want to be named, said that he had taken action to stand against an arms company that profiteers from the militarization of Palestine and beyond. Of course, we are geographically far away from the occupied Palestinian territories, but when you have Israel's largest privately owned arms company here operating out of 10 sites across the UK, you can do something about it, he said. Well, damn. International cooperation. Alright, the thing's loading. Elbit Systems has expanded its operations in Britain over the last decade to 10 sites, including 4 arms factories. Earlier this year, the Ministry of Defense handed the firm a £100 million contract to develop a sensor-to-shoot system for the British Army. Alright, now I think I can join. Let's see if it works. Alright, I'm in. Yeah, sure, you can come on. Or maybe you're not hearing me. What the fuck? Allow access. Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I hope something didn't crash. The window is not responding. Uh-oh. Shit. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you.
Yep.
Fuck. Alright, well, something with my, like, firewall shit is the interface fucked up. Or maybe it didn't. Okay, maybe it just took a long time for it to... Whatever. It took a while for it to register that I clicked accept. Alright. I'm in. I can hear you. Let me see about,
What's up, Mike Check? It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, chat.
It's been a little while. Hey, what's, so we've got Simone, and then what's, your pseudonym?
Mike Check.
Mike Check. Oh, okay. Mike Check. I see in the chat.
Mike Check.
Yeah. So nice.
Sorry.
We got a team today. And we have another person who wanted to come on as a special guest, but I haven't heard back about time, and I think he might be on a different a schedule and may not be available until like later. We still got to sort out time zone shit. That's always the problem with these cooperating from different parts of the world.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm currently in the Morningstar article about a Palestine solidarity group in Britain who went in and like sabotaged an Elbit Systems weapons factory. That's like an Israeli weapons factory in Britain. In what was the town? Oldham and Bristol. They went in and they like broke windows and spray painted and stuff, and it shut the factories down.
That sounds dope.
Yeah, let me read where I just was. Of course, we are geographically far away from the occupied Palestinian territories, but when you have Israel's largest privately owned arms company here operating out of 10 sites across the UK, you can do something about it, he said. This is one of the 3 protesters who occupied the roof of the Oldham factory. There were, I think they said... Wait, go ahead.
I think we were talking recently about how manufacturing has really been pulled out.
Yeah.
Right. But the one thing that, remains and seems to be pushed bigger and bigger every year is certainly the arms industry.
Yep, that's something that you don't really want to export for security reasons, right? So that's stayed in the Imperial core.
And it sounds like they seized the moment.
Yeah, it seems like people are maybe becoming more aware of where these systems might be vulnerable. But so this is a development. I'm only like halfway through the article. You can find it. Let me post really quick the the news thread in the chat so you can more easily follow along. All right. Yeah, I'm like halfway through this article. I'll reread the last paragraph I was on too. Elbit Systems has expanded its operations in Britain over the last 10 decades to 10 sites, including 4 arms factories. Earlier this year, the Ministry of Defense handed the firm a £100 million contract to develop a sensor-to-shoot system for the British Army. And this is an Israeli company in Britain. In a world where there's so many problems, these companies should... This is a quote from one of the rooftop protesters. In a world where there's so many problems, these companies should be the last to have any investment, another rooftop protester told the Star. The three, all in their early 20s, said that this was the first time they had taken this type of action. It seems like the only plausible way to actually get people to try and put pressure on these organizations is to question themselves. The action they're taking seems like the only possible way to... It is in brackets, so it's not... They're paraphrasing something here. It seems like the only plausible way to actually get people to try and put pressure on these organizations to question themselves, he said. I mean, I don't know if introspection's what you need from these companies, but... I mean, it seems like they got some results by getting them to shut down for a bit. The occupation has been going on for a century. By doing this direct action, we are forcing Elbit to confront us. They can't choose to ignore us, and the potential risks toward us are nothing compared to the people we are doing this for. Alright, and there's a couple paragraphs left. A Palestine Action spokesperson said, Israel's chain of arms factories have absolutely no place in any civilized society, and their existence is an utter stain on the UK. The joint action was the latest in a series of protests against Elbit sites by the group, which aims to shut down the firm's operations in Britain. It was the first time that Palestine Action members had broken into an Elbit factory. So an escalation, but part of a larger movement, not just some isolated, what do you call it? Propaganda of the deed or something like that.
I mean, I gotta say, like, this is pretty based, but at the same time, like, I sense like a lot of naivety. Like, this is the only way to get people to get the company like to pay attention, as if they don't know what they're doing, or this is a stain in the UK. Like, the UK is like very aware of what it's doing. Like, it's not like naive. Like, oh yeah, Palestine was being occupied. Like, oh whoops. And I mean, it's not the only thing that's a stain in the UK. Like, not even close. I don't know. Like,
yeah. I mean, this is at the same time it seems cringe and based. Like, they're taking some action that is going to be materially effective to some degree, but they're doing it from like a place of not really grasping what the situation is and thinking that they're gonna like change people's minds or something, that the people who are working at these companies are somehow, I don't know, they just need to have their hearts melted or they're like whatever, defrosted. I mean, it's weird. Like, the companies do what the companies do because it's profitable and because it fits into a larger political system. But
I guess one question to ask might be, you know, who is this addressed to? That isn't super clear to me, even though there seems to be a clear address in the, I guess, like, manifesto type thing.
Yeah.
But, like, who is this for?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is maybe coming from that liberal place of being like, if you make noise and appeal hard enough, the authorities will do what you want. It kind of seems like that's where this is the mentality here. But
yep, I agree. And I think it's becoming very mainstream to be pro-Palestine. And I don't think like a lot is gonna come out of it. Like, public support is not the problem, in my opinion.
Right. I think it's probably better to have public support, but it's not going to fix it by itself. What I do think is interesting about this case is that it seems like they did manage to achieve some material benefit without like a clear, solid material understanding of what they're doing, which is like sort of demonstrative that you don't have to have like the perfect ideology to accomplish things. But like you could also point at this and say, well, all they did was like break some windows and spray paint some stuff. You had access to the factory, which means that you could have, I don't know, sabotaged like literally any of the systems in the factory, you know. But apparently that didn't happen. They just like spray painted some stuff, scrawled slogans on the walls, and then climbed on the roof. So I don't know. It seems kind of like they've got the intent and the like ability to go act, but they just don't really have the theoretical basis to do something as effective as they could.
So it seems these cars here are in solidarity with the march here.
Hello?
Yep. Just watching the mess behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I've been paying too much attention.
This does sound like this does sound like a kind of like you know, like liberals doing stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's based, but kind of frustrating too.
Yeah, I wish it was. I mean, like, I think we're pretty much on the same page about it. Let me see real quick about fixing this. Oh wait, that's not the right size. There we go. All right. Well, I'm not reading an article. I'll leave this up like that. Just a bunch of chaos right now.
I've been very disconnected. So this is close to where George Floyd was killed.
Okay, yeah. So George Floyd was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when he died, and that's in Hennepin County, Minnesota. Dante Wright was shot in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis in Hennepin County. So very nearby. And during, I mean, not literally during trial hours, but during the trial for Derek Chauvin for killing George Floyd. So like, kind of a crazy confluence of factors there.
And killed by the leader of the police union, no less, right?
The president of the police union, yes. And it was actually really weird yesterday when they did the press conference. The mayor or the police chief said that this officer was a very, very senior officer, which was like cryptic and mysterious. And now we know that she was the president of the police union in, I'm not sure if it's, this I'm not sure about, if it was the police union for what the level of organization was, if it's the police union for Brooklyn Center or for Hennepin County or what. But yeah, so literally somebody who's like fighting as much as possible for the interests of cops goes and like draws a gun and shoots a 20-year-old black guy, father of multiple children. But yeah, wild shit. You would think.
Someone shared the other.
Go ahead.
Yeah, someone shared the other day that the reason he got detained, like, yes, it was the air freshener, but that was only an excuse because he was being there was an arrest warrant out for him because he got sent like a Zoom link incorrectly, so something like that, right?
I didn't hear about the Zoom link. What I'd heard last was that they were saying they had an arrest warrant for him, but they hadn't said what it was. They hadn't said anything about it, so it sounded kind of like bullshit. But yeah, they pulled him over for, what happened was they pulled him over for having an air freshener dangling in his rearview mirror, which is like illegal because it obstructs your view or something. And when they pulled him over, they ran his plates, and they found that there was an arrest warrant. The last that I had heard, they didn't say anything about what that was. But if it's like something for, if it's related to fucking Zoom, that sounds like it's probably bullshit. I mean, like what you described sounds like a phishing attack or something.
Yeah, like from what I get, like so like this person had an arrest or like a trial or something, and there was an error in mailing, so that the link wasn't sent correctly, so the person couldn't attend their own trial, so they issued an arrest warrant. But what I think actually happened was that, like, it seems very silly that the person got pulled over for an air freshener. I think the real excuse, like, they ran the plates first, saw that they had an arrest warrant, and then used the air freshener excuse to stop the car.
Yeah, that very well could have been the case. I mean, that's sort of a thing too, is like, you're not supposed to go out hunting for somebody over something like missing a court date. But if you happen to pull them over, then you're like allowed to do that. You're allowed to be like, oh, hey, you're supposed to be here for the court or whatever. Oh, Clash has the whole story. Awesome. MVP shit. So yeah, that is like a thing that they'll do, is they'll like establish some kind of pretext to get people that they're looking for. Which, by the way, is often considered like good police work. Cops pull people over based on profiling. I mean, yeah, that's probably part of it too. I don't know if they would be able to see him or not as the driver, but there's somebody else in the car with him. His wife, I think. I'm not sure. He was not the only person in the car when they shot into the car. Yeah. Cops pull people over based on profiling when they are hunting to find somebody with outstanding warrants. Yep, yeah. Happens to me a lot in New Jersey for whatever reason. Jersey sucks. Yeah, it is real bad, Cap. Alright, we got a story. Let's start from the beginning. Dante Wright has a misdemeanor on his record. The government sends his notice of hearing to the wrong address. He never gets it. The government, not knowing that they made a mistake, issues a warrant on February 5th, 2021. Time passes. On April 11th, when he was killed, Dante is borrowing his mother's car. There's an air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror. In Minnesota, it's a way to pull someone over because it's technically illegal, because cops need petty crimes to pull people over. Right, establishing pretext. Cops first pull him over for that. Next, the cops notice that the car has expired, so like the registration or something. As they attempt to cuff Dante, things are fine, and then the cops for some reason stop cuffing him. Then he probably panicked. Yeah, I agree. It looked like he panicked in response to something the cops said, because he was complying perfectly fine at first. And also, worth noting, somebody else was in the car. I think it might have been in response to another cop talking to them. Then he probably panicked and decided to take his chances because he had no clue why they were detaining him in the first place. Enter Officer Kim Potter, 26-year veteran and most senior police officer on the force. Also the police union president for the suburb. Okay, for what do you call it? Brooklyn Center. As her other police officer struggles with Dante, she doesn't do her first job of having a handle on Dante as the other officer was checking something. Next, Dante frees himself enough. I mean, I don't think they even had him really contained at all. He was just standing there with his hands behind his back. They were cuffing him, and then they stopped, and he like went. They didn't even grab him until he was already getting in the car. But yeah, this is accurate retelling of the video so far. Yeah, next Dante frees himself enough and gets back into the car. She thinks she pulled out her taser. Or that's what she says. She says she thinks she pulled out her taser, even though the taser is on the other side of the belt from the gun. Calling the other officer to move so she can use the taser. And then when the officer moves, she shoots Dante. It wasn't a taser, it was her Glock. It was a firearm. Dante's bleeding out and attempts to drive off, only to hit... Oh, fuck, he hit another car? I knew that he crashed. I didn't know he hit another car. Jesus Christ. And he's dead. Not sure if he died of the gunshot or the car crash. Yeah, I didn't even realize he hit another fucking car. There was a passenger in the car. It was his girlfriend, and here we are, another black man dead.
This is just insane.
Yeah,
but like, aren't like the guns? You need to like cock the guns, right? Or are they all like always loaded?
It depends. And the Glocks tend to be the kind that are very easy to go off. That's a really good question, actually. That is something that they would have to look into, about the specific model of gun that she had, and like customizations and stuff, because a lot of these guns, the way that they work, when you have a double action trigger, which means, or it's not double action, it's an automatic, it's a slide action, so that when you fire the gun, the slide goes, the kick from the gun, the there's a technical term for it, the kick, though, from the opposite...
The recoil.
The recoil causes the slide on top to slide back, and as it slides back, it ejects the casing, and it loads the next round. So that's like an automatic versus like a revolver. And when you pull the trigger on an automatic, it causes the hammer to hit the bullet and fire it, and then cause that action due to the recoil. Usually, the way that it works is that you have the first trigger pull is going to be a lot heavier than subsequent trigger pulls, and you can reduce the weight of the trigger pull by cocking the hammer. That's a pretty typical way of how it works. Not sure if that's how this worked or not, and I don't know how heavy the trigger pull would be for this gun relative to a taser, but it's still, like, also it should have been on the fucking safety. They have safeties on these things, so she would have had to take it off the safety.
And according to the description, like, she first pulled out the gun. She didn't notice it was the gun, which is already suspicious.
Well, she pulled it, and so then it's on the dominant hand side, which is her right side. And the taser, this police force, they have them on the left side, or the non-dominant side. So she already, when you're a cop and you're training with a gun, she's a 26-year veteran, so she's done lots of training with this gun, or similar guns. You train, like, pulling it out of the holster, and, like, safety on, safety off. You know, sometimes you often have to, like, pull the slide back to load the chamber the first round. All that kind of shit you're very trained on, and if you've been doing it for 26 years, it's going to be muscle memory. All that shit's muscle memory. Yeah. And it's also on the wrong side of you if you're trying to get your taser. And as Gibbon points out, isn't a Glock like 100 times heavier than a taser? It's something, I mean, not quite that much, but yes, it's noticeably different. The weight of it, the balance of it, the way the grip is shaped, the color. Tasers usually have like bright yellow colors to let you know. Yeah. Like, so many things about it just don't match up. Like I said earlier, there was that other case where a police officer like went into the wrong apartment and thought it was her apartment, allegedly. It's like that level of being mistaken. There's like, it's just totally implausible.
And also, like, a taser is a pretty harsh weapon anyways. Like chill. Like, why are you pulling a taser on this guy? Like, even then is I think it's pretty normalized now, but
yeah.
I don't think they should be used that like liberally.
What's even weirder about it is that before she shot him, what the situation was that I'll pull up my picture I drew from yesterday. So here's the layout of the car. Okay, it's not going to focus on it, but you can kind of see. Actually, I'll draw it. Now it's big enough. So here's the layout of the car. The headlights are the top. That's the front of the car. On the left side here, that's the driver's side of the car. You have Dante Wright trying to get back in the driver's seat. On the other side, you have somebody in the passenger seat. There's one cop on the far side of the car, and 2 cops on the driver's side. One cop was approaching and had cuffed him. The cop who shot him was kind of hanging back like down here. The cop who was trying to cuff him gets around to like this lower arrow position here as he's getting into the car seat. And then the shooter circles around and gets up here in front. This cop down here is on Dante Wright, holding him by like the shoulders, trying to pull him out of the car. So he's already using force to try to like prevent him from leaving. And our shooter, Kim Potter, she says that she has pulled her taser out and tells this cop to get out of the way so she can tase Dante Wright. So this cop was already on him, using force, like trying to wrestle him out of the car. She tells him to stop so she can tase him, and then she shoots him once the cop's out of the way. So, like, not only is it bizarre to be, like, going to a taser like that, there's already probably enough force being used to stop him. And she could have just, like, also helped and, like, grabbed the guy to help pull him out of the car. So, like, it's weird and, like, it doesn't make sense to go from that to a taser. Because they plausibly could have pulled him out of the car.
Yeah, I mean, this for me is just like an outright like execution, basically.
It looks like it's premeditated too. There's things about it that make it look premeditated. A taser almost looks like it's a BB or a sci-fi toy gun, and very much different from. Oh yeah, absolutely, totally different. Not like to mistake them for, you have to like be totally unfamiliar with what they are. Tasers, I mean, they allege that some tasers, I mean, this is true, some tasers are designed to kind of look like guns. Oh. Thank you, Black Hole Saturn, for following. They look like phasers from Star Trek or something. They don't look anything like guns normally.
It almost like this just like raises the question, like how many more executions are going on that don't become protests?
Oh, a ton. It's the ones that you don't hear about, you know. There's loads that this has been going on for you know, decades, since the modern police have existed, you know, over a century. But now that we've got body cam footage and stuff like that, people can actually see this stuff happening, or where you've got bystander footage, people can see it happening. I do want to go through some of the things that made this particular event really suspicious, though, because there were a few things. Thanks for the following, Eugene. There were some things about this that made it like really suspicious. Look like it was premeditated. So first thing is like really bizarre. Like you mentioned, Mike Check, that it seemed kind of like they were looking to pull him over. I didn't know about all that background before today, but that does add to it. That does seem like something where they were planning to go after this specific person. The first thing I noticed when I saw the video that was really weird was that they had 3 police officers there. Normally they'd only have like 2 cops and a squad. You can usually have like one cop and one partner like together as a group, but they had 3 for some reason. One of the cops goes around to the passenger side of the car, which you normally don't do. That's like a weird kind of thing to do. And that cop starts talking to like the passenger at the same time, who is Dante Wright's girlfriend, at the same time that the other 2 cops are approaching the driver's side. So like, that's a bad idea because it can make people feel like trapped because you've got people surrounding you. And it like becomes more dangerous because you can, if something happens and you need to shoot somebody who's in the car, the other cops on the other side, they're in danger of being hit. So like you don't do that usually. That's not protocol. So that was weird. It made it seem like something was up. Then like for some reason, it's like the one guy who's going to handcuff Dante Wright is taking a really, really long time to handcuff him. You can see on the body cam footage, he's got his hands behind his back, like going perfectly willingly. And this cop who's pulling out the handcuffs is being really slow about it. You can see Dante Wright's hands behind his back. You can see the handcuffs on the body cam. And the cop is just kind of fumbling with them. It's not clear what's going on and why it's taking so long. It should have taken like 2 seconds, but it takes a lot longer than that. And as the cop's doing this, it seems like the cop on the other side of the car says something. And to me, listening to the video, it sounds like that cop said something like, "Don't reach for it." You know, and in like that tone of like, "Don't reach for it, or I'm gonna have to shoot you" type of thing, which has been like a really common thing that's happened where like they'll say that as a pretext to then shoot somebody. Like there's been a number of cases where that's happened. And with what it sounded like I heard, and with the timing, I think that hearing that spooked Dante Wright. And he was like, "All right, I'm in danger. My girlfriend's in danger," and he like tries to get back in the car. All this is while the other cop is like fumbling with the handcuffs, which should have been really easy to put on by this point, but they're not on him. So like that's another thing. Like it seems almost like he was stalling or something like that. And then once he gets into the car, Kim Potter, who shot him, she pulls out her gun and is aiming it directly at him the whole time, easily within her line of sight, totally visible to the body cam. As soon as she starts pulling her gun out, she starts shouting, "Taser, taser, taser," which normally you don't see. People normally don't shout, the cops normally don't shout out the weapon that they've pulled out. Like, that's unusual. And like the fact that it's almost like, you know, protesting too much or something in this context, because like then the excuse is that she thinks she grabbed the taser even though she clearly grabbed a gun. And she like waits for this other cop to get out of the way before, like, and she has like several seconds where this gun is like right in front of her as she's aiming it at this guy and waiting for the other cop to move. And then once he moves, she shoots. And then she's like, she and the other police officers act like really surprised, almost like over the top surprised, where it's like, "I can't believe you just did that." Like, and at first I thought it was just like they were genuinely surprised, but after like kind of looking at it, it seems almost like it's a little bit too much. So like going through all those different details, it kind of makes it seem like this was premeditated and like staged almost, because they knew that, like, you know, they had the camera and stuff on. I don't know if they intended necessarily to kill him, but it looks a lot like that to me.
I mean, I'm convinced, but what would the motive be? Like, why would they want to kill this like random dude?
I mean, that hunting for sport, basically. Like, having talked to police officers, that's a pretty common thing. And as Clash pointed out in the chat a little while back, and I'll get to now, Kim Potter was involved with another police shooting in 2019. You do tend to often have like killer cops who continue to have incidents like this. I believe Derek Chauvin had a bunch of other incidents. I'm not sure. I think that he did. Other people died with him, but you do have killer cops who just keep doing stuff like this until eventually they get caught.
That's insane. That's pretty horrid. I mean, I remember this Katrina story it's well known where they were like literally hunting the people that were like fleeing for their lives of the Katrina situation.
Well,
these police people were like just
that one was that's a boast that comes from Chris Kyle, this like the American sniper guy, who is known for like bragging about how edgy and how many people he killed. Like, basically, if you know the Navy SEAL copy pasta about like, what the fuck did you just fucking say about me, you little bitch? Funnily enough, if you actually like took that copy pasta seriously, the guy that person was claiming to be the top sniper in the U.S. Armed Forces is Chris Kyle, or was at the time, pretty much. And he has exactly the personality of the person who would write that shit. Like as an unironic boast. It might have literally been him, even. That's like a stretch, but like, it's plausible. So I'm not sure if he really would... It could be either one. He either could have been shooting people who were scavenging for supplies in Katrina, or it could have been that he just bullshitted because he wanted to look cool. Fucking, look at me executing poor people. That's really hard to say, but it's important to give context for that.
I was gonna say that kind of reminds me of like the flexing you've heard about in like, you know, some of the like ICE private Facebook groups.
Yeah, if you hear like cops and similar organizations like talking, or institutions like talking about this kind of stuff behind closed doors, they're like super proud of how brutal they can be. They'll they'll say they'll talk a bunch of shit, make stuff up, but they'll also, like, some of it's probably true. They like really revel in brutality. And if you,
it's
go ahead. Yeah,
it's a way to normalize it as well. Like, it's a way to like hype each other up. Like, oh yeah, like I can be this brutal because it's allowed. Like,
yeah, it becomes an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that becomes your fantasy, right? You know, that's your fantasy.
Right.
Right. What does it say that has become your fantasy? It means that there has to be some like manifestation in the way that you're like moving through the world. And if your job provides you access to the possibility of like that fantasy, like, yeah, I mean, that they're flexing, that says something about how they're conducting themselves, I think, is all I need to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like you've got the Trump supporters, or like Poll or whatever, and they have some of them have the opportunity to actually enact that stuff on the world, and that's sort of like that's kind of the whole way that that sort of injustice works, is that you've got a system of power, and then people who have this kind of fantasy or view of things, they say, okay, well, I would like to use that power to live out this kind of twisted fantasy I've got.
Abolish police as we know it.
And I mean, there's not really much you can do about that as long as that system of power exists. You're not going to be able to find everybody who believes in that kind of stuff and kick them out. I mean, and by the point that it becomes this obvious, where you've got like chat rooms where people are talking about it, it's become normalized and ingrained in the system so much that you can't just pull it out of the system anymore. Like, it's become part of it. And also, I should point out, of course, that the police we have today grew out of, you know, slave catchers and union strike breakers and shit like that. So it was already part of the system to begin with. It didn't just fall out of the sky.
Yeah, it's also like a way to gain some like power and some community and some like security, I guess. Like a lot of cops that I've met join the forces because they pay well. They have no other option, kind of like joining the military.
Yeah.
And they love it because it's like all this like loyalty and like, you know, all these like fascist like values that appeal to some people.
Yeah. It's a similar kind of thing to, you know, like mobster movies or whatever, where it's like we gotta have like loyalty in the family and shit like that. That's really appealing to a lot of people. And then, you know, you add in this mixture of violence, which like most people kind of see that stuff and it's like, oh, that's kind of like a risque escape in those movies. But then there's other people who will like really embrace that. Like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to actualize this in the real world. Hey, SciTube enjoyer.
We have to bring this change that's needed, and it's gonna take all of us. How many of y'all are
I mean, I think to some extent, right,
contributors to NGAE?
what the issue is right, is you know, that brotherhood that they're fantasizing about. I mean, much like the fascistic tendency is based on that, you know, thirst for blood. Right? The reason why you might have a competition is because of that brotherhood. Right? The reason why police unions effectively put out hits on politicians sometimes is because of the fact that, like, you know, they have that brotherhood.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, right? Because it's like, you know, you have to ask yourself the question of, like, you know, I don't know, it almost feels like a cult type structure.
I don't know about cult, but it's definitely this like really close-knit, toxic kind of dynamic. Cults usually like revolve around an individual personality. But maybe
Cultist,
like a deformed one after that person dies, and it becomes devoted to like the ideals. But yeah, it's definitely that sort of socially destructive system for sure. But it's unlike a cult or a gang or whatever else. Police operate with the not just the consent but the endorsement of the system. So that is
the difference. Yeah, that's such a critical difference. True.
And lobby our state senators and state representatives.
Yeah, and it's not just endorsed by the system. It's central to the way the system works. You need law enforcement to keep private property operational. You need law enforcement to keep the poorer people in line, and like subjugated minority groups and all that kind of stuff. You need the cops to stop people from going on strike or taking back control of the city or the productive forces or whatever. They're an integral part of the system.
Yeah, it's a very bittersweet thing that, like, in poorer communities, you sometimes rely on a lot on police to like just be there because shit can get like really nasty. But you also don't want police there because they're many times like thugs. Many times like come like just like to like bother, you know, like to intimidate for no reason. So it's kind of like a prison situation where it's like better to be imprisoned by these cops roaming around your neighborhood, because the alternative is even worse. I guess like the only reasonable like replacement is something like the Black Panthers, where the same community members like defend themselves against like crime and violence.
Well, something interesting I think that you sort of you know, I think bring light to, right? And I mean, this is kind of the dark thing that isn't talked about a lot in the US, right? But when it comes to like mass incarceration policies, right, in the 90s especially, you know, like these were being you know, voted in by representatives who were elected a lot of the time out of these communities, I think, with that kind of logic, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a dangerous road to walk down, because it's real obvious a lot of the time to people, you know, that there's a problem with crimes or gangs, But then when you got the police, often they make the situation even worse. So it gets into the situation where it's like you need something, but as soon as you try to have you know, a community police, they're often disrupted by the regular police. And where we've seen community policing, people have like found it's possible to reduce crime rates and, you know, not have to worry about being harassed by the cops. So like, I'm blanking off the top of my head, but there are examples of that, I think in California, where that's been tried in some communities, and it's worked pretty effectively. And people just like, you know, can do it themselves and there was somewhere in like the Midwest, I think, where some community policing organizations started and like immediately discovered that the police had like a sex trafficking ring that they were involved in. And, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say that like it's the silver bullet solution, but there's some instances out there that indicate that it's a possibility. And I would say again, like the Black Panthers are a good example to follow.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to say because the U.S. is huge, and I have like no experiences like living in like an American ghetto. But in Mexico, there's a lot of like great examples of communities coming together and kicking out police, and similar to what you're saying, that they had like a very positive experience where they can defend themselves, and they reduce crime by like kicking out police because they were the ones sometimes like involved with like narcos and shit. And then they similar to what you're saying, that they have problems with the police, you know, like the Zapatistas have problems, as Gibbon says in Chiapas, that the Zapatistas have problems with like the military, with like paramilitaries, sometimes with the police. So it's, yeah, definitely not a silver bullet, and many times it's done, even if it's like everyone agrees in the community, sometimes the government, like the state government, can just say like, no, I don't recognize your authority. Yeah, so it's definitely not a silver bullet. And on top of that, like, this is all trying to mitigate the contradictions that are inherent to the system. Like, this is caused by poverty, this is caused by like drugs being rushed into communities, by the opioid crisis, etc., etc. So it's any solution is just mitigation. I don't think there's a silver bullet for this.
And Lord, I know that there are people that will want to hurt.
Yeah, it's something that does have to be handled with a lot of care. It looks like we're going to be able to bring on our special guest very briefly, but he's going to be kind of busy. We should pop over to the proper stream chat room anyway, since that's kind of like where we want to be doing these from. We can have everybody on at once over there. If you don't want to do that, I'll start a voice call.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sure. I'll see you soon.
Yep, I think you both know where that is. It's the main chat room, the leftypol stream chat room. Yep. All right, I'll pop in there right now. All right. So it should take just a second. Everybody be in here. We do have our special guest briefly, but we'll see. We'll see how long he can stay on. All right, people are coming in.
Speak for her brother Aubrey, right? So please give your attention.
Let me put this back here and maybe cover some more news.
Without his father, Miss China.
Last time I seen Dante had dropped my son off.
All right, yeah, it's gonna take a minute, but while waiting for them, I'll go ahead and get through a couple more headlines, since we spent a lot of time just discussing the nature of the police problem. So we had a story on activists breaking into an Israeli arms factory. No video? Oh shit. Hold on.
Thank you, China.
Oh, I'm not streaming. I'm not streaming the video sources.
We're gonna hit Naisha Wright. And this is the brother, just the sister.
I don't think he can hear my stream anyway, but yeah.
And say some of the things that her brother is too heartbroken to say. So y'all please give your attention to Naisha Wright.
Say his name!
Dante Wright!
Say his name!
Dante Wright!
They murdered my nephew! She killed my nephew! Every pistol, every taser, it has a safety on it. She saw that she had to release that. I watched that video.
Alright, can everybody in the chat hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, good.
Out in front of her for a long damn time. A long damn time. And she did. She did. My nephew.
So let's see.
Boy, yeah, he's a little nervous about. He's got maybe an issue with his camera.
He was loved. He was ours. He came from us. My sister's hurt. Broken home. This is no broken home. This is 23 years of love. 23. My nephew was 20.
All right, there we go.
Did y'all not see my little great nephew? Did y'all not
Yeah, it's just got your logo anyway.
He is fatherless.
The streams are kind of loud right now.
Oh, I'll turn it down then. Yeah, it's hard for me to tell sometimes because I hear a different volume than
I literally hear people screaming in the background.
Yeah. I can just mute it actually. We got 4 people on right now, so.
Neat.
All right, so you might want to turn your volume up a little bit. I think you're kind of quiet right now.
Can you guys hear me now?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to welcome to the stream our special guest. If you want to introduce yourself.
I'm just Chirut. Nothing super special. I have a Twitch channel though that I play video games on for lefty.
Yeah, let me.
Twitch.tv/Chirut.
I'll post the link to that in the site too.
Sweet, yeah, thank you.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, you recently started streaming content, some video games and advertising for leftypol. So I don't know. Did you want to talk about that?
Well, that's the intended goal, or the purpose, like trying to grow the channel and like bring more people in, like using the medium of video games is kind of like, I guess, like a common medium,
Yeah.
So what type of games do you play?
I mostly play retro games right now.
Cool. Yeah, I saw you playing.
Games.
Was it like Yoshi's Story?
Yeah, Yoshi's Story. Yeah.
Cool. And also like playing cool music. I don't know how you're not scared about getting like a copyright strike.
I just don't care, man. I really don't. I don't like, unless my channel gets super big. I don't really foresee getting like copyright struck. And plus, I don't keep my content like you only see what I stream. You can't go back and watch my other videos. I don't save any videos, so I have a lower chance of getting caught. I probably will stop whenever and if I get bigger. You know what I'm saying? But until then, it's not really bothering. I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah. So for the people listening, it's cool music and cool games. Pretty chill.
Yeah. When do you try to stream normally?
I usually just try and stream whenever, man. Honestly, like I go to work in the afternoons, and so sometimes I try and stream in the morning, but I don't really, I kind of want to do what I want and just have fun. I'm not like super concerned with like having a set schedule and streaming all the time, and stuff like that.
All right, cool. So anybody who's interested should follow and then hit the notification bell so that you get a notification when you go live, right? That way they'll catch you when you stream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I've got currently I'm streaming to the streaming side tube that I set up. So if people want to watch something that comes on, they can hop in there and skip to whichever stream is live. Or if somebody's around, you can get our attention and we can queue up whatever it is. But there's also, I think you've got a site for your stream too, right?
Yeah, I do. Just /Chroot is all.
Okay, so it's just CHROOT.
Yeah, just that. Yeah.
Do you have a Discord server?
No, I don't. I don't participate in Discord. I don't like Discord.
Why though? Why not?
It's spyware. I mean, I guess technically Twitch and stuff is too, but you can mitigate that spyware at least, you know. Like I use like Twitch and stuff. Like I have a browser configuration set up specifically for like Twitch and like, you know, less secure websites and in websites that aren't open source. And like for using leftypol and like Tor and things like that, I have my own browser set up for that, you know. And I'm really, really majorly autistic when it comes to computers like that and security.
It's probably a pretty good setup then. Sounds pretty secure.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I was gonna go to college for computer science, but it just didn't pan out right now.
Yeah, and then usually that doesn't end up being such a glamorous. Yeah, that's Trute is the new voice. I was just talking to the chat real quick. Yeah, a lot of times those kind of things end up turning you into like a desk jockey, tech monkey kind of a guy.
Yeah.
But hey, you know,
and like,
the politicians tell you learn to code. That's the way out of the problem with the jobs right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I really am like, I passionately love computers, you know, so it's more of I'm actually going because I love it, you know. I don't want to go to make money, even though I've heard you can make good money.
I mean, now that we're advertising a bunch of shit, there's also a new Matrix chat room called Tech.
Nice.
Like, you can find them in the leftypol community. And they're going to be reading the SICP. It's Structure and Interpretation of Computer Programs. It's a really cool book. It's made for like beginners, I guess, not like extreme beginners, but
it's a good book. I haven't read the whole thing, but
it's a legend. I haven't read it myself, but I've it's a legend in, you know, like it's a legendary book that's supposedly puts you in a very good place
to have to think like a programmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So it seems like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on because there's several different reading groups already that were set up on leftypol. I'm in one of those. We've got some more that are reading like core Marxist texts right now. There's I think leftyread.ml is still, I think it got back up, or did they change the domain of that? I know that they had like a central database. Or not a database, but a central site.
Now it's a GeoCities website.
Okay.
I think you can find the info in the edu thread. There's like a main like /read/ thread. And yeah, they have their stuff there.
Awesome. Well, looks like Trute just disconnected. He might have to go early, but oh shit! No, it's an internet problem. I guess he's going to try to reconnect. So yeah.
So are we going to keep going with the news? Do we want to sort of discuss something? Yeah. Where do we want to go?
Yeah. I mean, I was planning on doing the news. I didn't know if there was like matters people would like to discuss specifically. There's of course the protests going on, and we're an hour past curfew now. So usually it takes them a while before they start trying to boot people back, though.
So at what time does night gang start? Is it like after curfew or
it's after curfew,
after sundown?
Usually it's more like after sundown. But we'll see. They do it later or earlier different nights sometimes. When it really starts going, I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to switch people over to the happenings SciTube so that we can watch it directly.
I don't know how like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't know how relevant really riots or quote unquote uprisings or whatever you want to call it is going to be though. Like, I mean, I've been watching it and like, I have a feeling like, I feel like the feds really got a lot of people during the Floyd riots or uprisings, you know, when that took place. Like, I don't feel like, I feel like it's going to be a lot of liberalism that we're going to see. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I think you're right that they did find a lot of people and that things have been kind of thinned out. But I mean, we've already seen some pretty good sounding stuff, some pretty class conscious speakers, even in the daytime.
Have you?
Yeah, we had.
I work so much, I just haven't been able to keep up.
Yeah, there's been
my own personal. I was just going to say that my own personal feeling about these protests, and I mean, I think this was the case in June of 2020 as well. But it seems like a lot of the time, immediately, right, you're responding first to the gut reaction of what happened, right, which is often so egregious that it's even hard to call it like political. But then from there, you immediately begin to sort of see this kind of like, I hate to put it this way, but like kind of this like battle between, you know, a left and a sort of liberal approach to where it goes from there. I think what's difficult though, right, which is the left approach, because it calls for increasing scope, is that it requires sustained momentum before I think a coherent left voice can emerge in the wake of something like this.
Well, I think, personally, I think that it's one of the issues we have is, see, we're not out there in the streets, or at least we're not out there in a conscious manner, you know, and really like bringing people and roping people into the left, you know, because there's a bunch of justified rage happening right now, and we aren't actually out there, like, you know, not taking advantage of it per se, but, you know, using that as a medium to say, hey, look, there is an alternative to this system, you know, that keeps people oppressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I went to demos in the Floyd riots, you know what I'm saying, there were liberals that harped me down like, you know, oh, don't be bringing socialism into this, blah, 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 you know, don't be, you know, blah, 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 white savior complex and all that. And like, look, man, you know, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the things that black people experience, you know, it's just a fact of the matter is that comes from poverty. You know what I'm saying? Poverty, you know, explicitly has come out of the capitalist system, you know, and like we should be out there taking this momentum and building a leftist movement from that. And like that, I think that we really need to start focusing on that in our organizations and like in our groupings, you know what I'm saying? Because if we don't, then we're going to keep grinding our wheels in the dirt, you know what I'm saying? It's going to keep spinning, it's going to keep getting nowhere, man, you know?
Do you think that a new sort of wave of, I guess, you know, the momentum from last year, regardless, like, do you think there's potential there? Do you think that there's something that can be taken there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I absolutely do. I think the biggest issue that we encounter is going to come from the leadership in the liberal element. You know what I'm saying? Because like, what did we see during the Floyd riots? What did we see? You know, you had people like Fedlocks. You ever heard of that guy? Quote unquote Fedlock. No one knew who he was. Came out of nowhere. Starts leading the protest. You know, this dude blew harder than the sun, man. You know, but the issue is those kind of people are the people that rope these pseudo conscious but not class aware people yet, really. But they take those people and they channel that emotion back into the functionaries of the system. And that is a humongous problem that we have to deal with. You know, we have to call those people out and expose them for what they are, whether they're informants or not. You know, we need to expose them for what they actually are doing. You know?
Yeah. And it's more the activity than whether or not they necessarily are because you can be glowing and causing problem even if you're not an informant. You might just have swallowed the ideology.
Right.
On the other hand, like I think, like on a more like positive note, when they do that, like when the feds funnel back things like just like fizzle stuff, it doesn't fix the problems, right? Like it'll just get worse. In a way, like the protest is a way for capitalism to fix itself,
to bleed off.
So if
tension.
Capitalism, sorry,
to bleed off some tension instead of letting it be directed into something more useful.
What I think is the interesting complexity, though, right, is, sometimes when you see the Derek Chauvin trial, you almost feel like that is some organized attempt to bleed off some pressure, right? Yeah. But now suddenly in the middle of all of that, you have this.
Right. They don't.
That does feel like an aberration.
They don't have their shit together.
See, we're gonna have to. You have to explain it to people in a way that points out the fact that, like, okay, look, this has happened historically. What happened? It happened under Obama. You know what I'm saying? It happened under Trump. It happened under Biden. And you have to expose to people the repetitive, cyclical nature of these events and how nothing really fundamentally changes, and explain to them why, and how we can change those things. And that starts at the root of capital. You know what I'm saying? It is capital that exists. It is capital that upholds the police, that oppresses workers of all colors, creeds, and religions and nationalities. You know what I'm saying? And it's capital that upholds the police that oppress black people as horrifically as they do in the United States. You know what I'm saying? I mean, redlining and segregation, all that came out of segregation, and that power was given to that power dynamic happens because of rich property owners who segregated neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's interesting how, like, basically when I hear people use the word, systemic racism, right? You have to ask yourself the question, what system? What system? Come on, people, know what system this is.
Yeah, and I think that actually flows directly into something I wanted to say about this, which is that we have like a problem before us of how do you communicate this stuff effectively to a group of people who are already agitated. Like we're at the agitate stage, and we need to move into the educate stage, and so that we can then organize people. So we need to figure out how to communicate this, and I think that that's the right sort of angle to be using, is to say it's a systemic racism issue that you're getting upset about. What's the system? And to then point out that like all these problems that you're facing, it's like you can, it's one thing to be like saying, well, racism is really just poverty, but what's actually more of an effective line, I think, is to say that poverty is the way that racism operates, or it's like that's the weapon that's being used. That's the system that's being used to put people in this position. And you kind of like, it's a problem of figuring out how you can explain things in terms that people are already speaking in. Because I think a lot of the time what happens is people are using like rhetoric from the 20th century movements to try to explain a lot of this stuff to people without like considering how things have changed in the way people talk about these topics. And as much as it might be like cringeworthy to talk about like, I don't know, like sociology type of stuff, you do have to kind of consider like that's the language that people are using, and it's what they're going to be able to understand things in most easily. So I just wanted to throw that out there for consideration.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like the demo that we had up here in my hometown, like when I went out there, I mean, like, I kept the racial component at the forefront of like what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you still. You got, it's like you were saying, you got to speak to people in a language they understand, man. And like class really is just not a language people really understand in the United States anymore.
Yeah. But it's also like, underratedly also, considering the severity of these situations, it does seem like the appropriate thing to do to sort of put race at the forefront, if that's why people are outside in the first place.
Well, the way I see it is like, if I go to a demo and that demo is about the issue of race, I'm not gonna, put another issue in front of that issue. You know what I'm saying?
Totally,
even if it is class, but at the end of the day, the underlying dynamic that binds us all together is class.
And I think the reason, though, that I bring this up specifically is because of the fact that I think something that is somewhat underrated, though, right, in the momentum a lot of the time with these sort of BLM and BLM adjacent demonstrations, movements, is that, I mean, liberalism is an imposition onto the public as well. If that makes sense.
Do you want to repeat that? You kind of cut out a little bit, that last bit at the end.
I said that, the left interpretation, I really think, might only be as much of an imposition as the liberal one is. It just so happens that that one is imposed more aggressively.
Well, the liberal position is it's not just imposed, it's the hegemony. You know what I'm saying? It's the dynamic. Yes. It's the ideology that's pushed by the media. It's the ideology that's pushed by, regular norms. They're reinforcing their own hegemony of, the power structure. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what we're combating with.
Yeah, I think it's like Zizek described it really well in that bit from Pervert's Guide to Ideology, where he's talking about they live, and saying that, like, the correct metaphor is, like, people often think that, like, you should talk about ideology as like the glasses you put on and now you see the world through a distorted lens. But it's the movie is genius because the ideology is what you're already seeing normally, and you have to put the glasses on to unsee it and see things how they really are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it is more of an effort to kind of peel away this ideology when it's hegemonic like that, because it's just what people think of as common sense. So it is something you kind of have to fight to deal with. And another one of the points that he made in that respect was saying that people will often resist and fight.
They don't want to take glasses.
Yeah, attempts to kind of explain these underlying problems that cause the things that they're upset about. So it is like, I think that there is like an imposition there that has to happen in some way, but you have to navigate. The problem is navigating it effectively.
I like the way you put it though, man. Like, we're at the agitation stage and we have to move to the education stage. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important. But the issue is, it's just like, that's why I tell people, man, just join orgs, dude. Join orgs. Join the IWW. Join the PSL. Join the CPUSA. People be like, oh, glowies, glowies, blah blah. But okay, even if there are feds in these parties, which you should always assume there are, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't stop you from, participating and doing something. Like, you shouldn't sit on your ass all the time, because it's, the people are out there, man, and they're looking for answers, and like, we're not going to be able to reach the masses without some type of organization. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen.
And even if, like, there's a need to build new organizations, which there probably is, you get a lot of experience dealing with existing ones.
Right.
And that's like a necessary part of training.
It just frustrates me. It's just like, imagine how those riots would have gone down. Like, if there was a party, or a union there, to tell people about, like, there's another way out of this, man. You don't have to destroy your communities, A, and B, you don't have to live under the oppressive jack heel of these fucking police anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's another way out of this, Things would have been so much different. Or what if it would have been like, in the older days, when class consciousness was extremely high and there were millions and millions of communists, you know what I'm saying? We would have just shut the economy down. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you can do that if you actually have, like, enough of an organization. So you have to be thinking in terms of building to having that level of power.
Yeah.
But I'll say that I think that there's. Did you have a?
Yeah, like, going a little bit with what you were saying about Zizek, like, he says, like, we lack the the vocabulary or something like that to express our own freedom. Like we feel we can't, basically we lack the language to understand why we're not free, and I think that's very true. And a lot of the new theory that kind of like captures this idea is very obscurantist, like it's very hard to reach. And you know what ends up happening is that the right wingers, like the fascists or whatever, that's the paranoid schizophrenics, you know, the Alex Jones types can capture that, or neoliberals when they say like, oh yeah, it's just like systemic racism or something like very like just these like empty platitudes that that is like the correct language, or it has like, it's an easy way to conceptualize reality, and I think the left doesn't have that yet. Like we can't simplify reality.
I think that the left does have it, and I don't know. I hope this doesn't sound obnoxious, man, but I think that language can be found, you know, in the works of Marx. Again, go to the works of Marx. Now, Marx might not have simplified things per se, but you know, that is kind of like, you know, part of our job, man. You know, we can take what Marx was talking about and bring it back down, you know, to the level like your common working man can understand. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened with me, man. People explain this theory and stuff to me in a way that I understood. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Marx does describe our unfreedom. You know what I'm saying? Marx describes the motions of capital and how we're all slaves to the production of a commodity. You know what I'm saying? Marx explicitly describes these things. You know what I'm saying? That is a language of unfreedom right there. Yeah. And, you know, we're not free. We're all alienated, you know, in various different ways through the taking of our labor and through the taking of the things we produce. You know, our commodities, we don't know our commodities. They appear to us aliens on shelves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have the language. We just gotta tap into it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that that's something we need to be doing. And Marx also has, like, he wrote, you know, like smaller pamphlet length works that are intentionally meant to be like sort of simplifications and accessible to readers.
Critique of the Gothea program.
Well, yeah, that one's a little bit more contextual maybe, but like, yeah, those kinds of works that are like fairly short, easy reads, except maybe for some of the grammar because they're translated from German and they're from a time period where people wrote differently than today. Some of that stuff may be a little difficult for like modern readers, but it's not hard to like go through those and distill what's being said and then encourage people to go like actually read the texts, because they're not that difficult.
Mm-hmm. No, they're not. If anything, they're just long and drawn out, man. That was the hardest thing for like my first read of Capital and stuff, man, was just it was long. Like the second time I read it was in rehab, and that was when I had all the time in the world, you know what I'm saying? So
I guess so. Yeah. I think there's another version of Capital that's being published soonish, like maybe next year or something. I forget what the schedule is on that, but that's that'll be interesting to see, like, if that changes things at all. I'm looking. I want to at some point marathon reading Capital on the stream. I think that'd be a good time to do it.
I thought about you know, we could have like a weekly like reading stream. You know what I'm saying? Like we could stream and read Capital like once a week or something like that. You know?
Yeah. I've already like read a little bit on stream, and I enjoy doing that kind of thing generally. It would be we just need to figure out like a time to do that regularly. And I mean, Capital is a good book. Figure something to read that would be at like a level that people would actually be able to process and tune in for.
I think it would be cool. I don't know. You know, most of the crowd we would be drawing for that would be like the leftypol crowd anyways, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I think it's just good to have the option. And like, if people want to, you know, they can. If they don't want to, that's fine.
Hell yeah, yeah. You know, that's the thing.
I just got my physical copy in the mail of Capital. Nice. Again, I haven't had a physical copy of that in like 5 years. I'm super stoked. So
nice.
It's up there.
Yeah, so that's cool. No, that'd be down for that. But I would say that from having done these streams and looking at the stream reports that they do, you definitely see like a large number of people popping in, and I'm getting like mid to low tens, like 30, 40, 60 people for a given stream. And when I do that, people will come in and see I've got leftypol written right here, and then I've got a link to that on my channel, which will like bring people over there. I don't know if you have a link that you've attached to your Twitch or not, but you've got like the URL up there for people to see. So people see that, and some percentage of people are going to be curious and head over there. So whatever you're doing for content, if it's drawing in like people to see it, and people will come in and click every now and then, you are advertising the website and glowing this.
That's why like me personally, like that's why like I'm going for the retro gaming angle. You know what I'm saying? Because like people like to watch video games. You know what I'm saying? Twitch has shown that. B, there's not too many people that I'm aware of that actually are streaming a lot of retro games, and not specifically stuff like Yoshi's Island. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like it's figuring out how to break into the game, basically.
Sorry, my friend's here too.
All right.
Like me jumping on stream was so impromptu. Like I was doing laundry and just like I'm about to go to like NA, and I'm just like, oh fuck, got to get on boss's stream now.
Somebody in the chat was asking who this is, so I'll give you another shout out and post the link to your Twitch channel. Yeah, this is Bash Stroot. He's another leftypol user who streams. I'll post the link if you want to, like, while I'm typing that, if you want to like shout your stuff out again.
I don't know. I really suck at shout outs or shilling. I'm Bash Stroot. I stream retro video games. I don't really have a set schedule, because I work a lot, and I just kind of do it when I like to. But I usually
oh shit! Fucking audio did it again. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you get that?
Your audio like glitched out and interrupted you. You're saying you stream whenever you can, but it's a point in there you got cut off.
Yeah, no, I mostly stream like on my off days, which appear to be Tuesday and Wednesday right now, but that's subject to change. I don't know. I'm hoping the further I get down the rabbit hole of being in a union, I can maybe get a set schedule.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, hopefully the union will be able to help negotiate regular hours and shit like that.
Yeah. Dude, my fucking boss was like, so I had my 30-day evaluation, and my fucking boss was like trying to tell me like, okay, you can't talk about politics, because apparently some people were getting really, really upset with me talking about like communism at work. And then like, okay, that's whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to stop, but like, I can at least understand where she's coming from with that dynamic, because she's the boss, and, like it kind of interferes with like her ideology, I suppose. But then she's like, because I was like, okay, so when you say don't talk about my politics, like, what does that mean? Like, as far as like me talking about like my union and like getting people in the union and things like that, dude. And this is where she fucked up, because she was like, no, you don't really talk about joining the union and stuff like that. She tried to tell me to get people to only go talk to our union steward. And like, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. So I texted my union organizer and like, his name's Armando. And he was like, yeah, that's illegal. That's a violation of the United States labor protection law. So I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm waiting for him to get back in touch with me. So.
Yeah, it sounds like a potential for something to happen there that could be good. But yeah, if you've already got your higher up is making mistakes like that, that could be a good sign for your union being able to work something out effectively.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and like, because like we are approaching 80% participation.
80% what?
80% participation in the union, which is like super fucking awesome. I'm really happy.
Yeah, that sounds
like
good.
Yeah, my union organizer was like, she can't tell you that, dude. We fucking run that place. I was like, hell yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
really cool, man. I hope you don't get into too much trouble.
I'm not. I'm playing it smart. I don't know, but like my only issue is the chick that I work with is a complete fucking snitch, dude. Like my coworker's a total snitch.
Yeah,
but like, are people getting uncomfortable that you're talking about unions or about communism?
Well, no, I mean, honestly, no one is uncomfortable about this one specific person. And like, she goes off and fucking tells my boss everything I fucking say. Like, she brought it up to me. All right. First of all, she brought politics up to me and shit, and she was ragging on the whole George Floyd riots and stuff, trying to fucking pull all that bullshit, reactionaries say, but she's just a dumbass. She doesn't even know what the hell she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And
Yikes.
So I interjected with my fucking retort to that, and she didn't like that. So then she starts getting all like, oh, well, she used to be a manager at KFC or some shit, like big fucking whoop-de-doo. She thinks she's special, but she gets all fucking like, pissed and talking about like, well, we don't need to be talking about this at work, blah, blah, blah. She was like, the workplace isn't for politics. And I was like,
really?
Actually, funny you say that. Yeah, I was like, the workplace is the best place for politics. She was like, no, it's not. I was like, yeah, well, the workplace is inherently political. Well, long story short, my 30-day evaluation comes up. Guess what my fucking boss tells me? She says that I don't need to be going around telling people that the workplace is inherently political. Verbatim tells me that. And so I'm like, well, who could have possibly fucking told her that? So,
but did you get the job or what happened?
I had the job. I had the job, and I'm in the union at the job. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm gonna tell my union organizer that we don't need to fucking let her into the fucking union because she's a little fucking bitch.
Well, hey, you gotta be smart about that.
That sounds like a good opportunity to just like feed her information, like contradictory or whatever. I don't know. I would do that.
Good idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, of course. Like, oh yeah, the union is going to disband like in a month. Just like feed her random information.
Damn.
Yeah,
Mike Chick's being a fucking smooth operator here.
I got you.
Mike Check's here with all the slick tactics.
Yeah,
you gotta be smart with that, with gossip.
Yeah, true. My fucking problem is like yesterday at work, like she was sitting there, and like she's one of those fucking bootlickers, man. Like she licks the fucking manager's asshole like clean, dude. And she was sitting there like, dude, we had a day, all right. So I work in a deli, and we have a special at this deli that like slashes the price of like one of our products in half. Well, we sold about 1,150 pieces of units of this product in like fucking like a span of 4 hours. All right. We literally sold out. We had no more product left. And she sits there and she's like, oh, well, at least we're not the manager. The manager's working 70 hours a week, blah, blah, blah. Like I was like, yeah, sitting on her ass. Like I didn't even think about it. I just said it. I was like, yeah, she's sitting on her fucking ass. And I was like, oh shit, this girl will go fucking tell the manager on me. But
it's kind of like you got baited almost.
Kind of. I don't know. Yeah, I hate management a lot. So, it just happens. But
I mean, why is this person just around like dick riding management out of nowhere?
It's fucking just how it's how these small
That's
towns
how some people are,
fucking small towns.
The US. Some people just love
you'll
the
get
manager.
Even your most liberal people, like you will find, would probably still lick the management's asshole clean. Like,
yeah.
Is it just some sense of like community trust?
Well, actually, I was talking about this the other day, man. It's what has happened is in the last 60 years, I was watching that new fucking, but I forget what it's called, but the last 60 years, corporations have tried to rebrand themselves. You know what I'm saying? To cover up the exploitative dynamic. And so what they've done is they've convinced people that they're their friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you
family.
Do what?
Yeah, we're your family kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. Like you feel kind of bad for fucking your family over, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what corporate PR has done, you know, because that's all corporate PR is. It's just capitalism's, you know, propaganda mechanism.
Well, yeah, I had to take classes of like civic duty and like ethics, and a lot of it was like don't steal from your employers. Like you have to, if you see like your coworkers like embezzling money or some shit, you have to like report it either to like your superiors or to the authorities. It's, I don't know, it's part of the like civic responsibility ideology of like modern liberalism.
So civic. So you know, it's just about being a snitch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'll remember to vote too.
Well, it's like so the corporations are trying to make people like, you know, look at it like in the eyes of the person who's snitching. You know what I'm saying? I'm hurting like their family or their friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm stealing from them personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like you're trying to make you think that you're doing this bad thing, that you're being a traitor or whatever.
Right. When in reality, like, you know, the corporation's the one stealing all of my motherfucking money.
Right. Well, yeah, people don't even, in the U.S. particularly, people don't even realize that there's an antagonistic relationship between capital and labor. That's something that people need to realize. Well, there's also this like really bizarre, like almost you could say like cucked mentality that a lot of Americans have, where they have this belief that they need to fit within like an authority structure, and that there's somebody who's like needs to be your boss and somebody who needs to be like telling you what to do all the time. So when you have that sort of mindset, it's almost like a cosmological kind of view. It's very easy for a workplace structure to take advantage of that and like slot right into that way of thinking things are supposed to be.
Yeah, that paternalism is extremely toxic. Like not only inside the workplace, but like it just like spreads fucking everywhere. Like the government is understood to be like this paternalistic business that should like kind of like help you, I guess. Like you're kind of like the client of the government, and it should have like this helplines, you know, like this like take care of me government kind of mentality. I'm not saying healthcare and stuff like that is bad, obviously. Like what I'm saying is that people don't understand their role in like the creation of society. Like they feel they're just like consumers. Like Jules says, more like a child is paternalistic. And also like this extends to like organizing. Like my experience with organizing is it's sometimes very frustrating that people feel that the org is like a parent that takes care of you, like hey, I have this problem with the org, like fix it. It's like you gotta put some effort yourself. Like this is an org and we're all volunteers. And it's not that we tell you what to do. It's like that's work and you. Yeah,
that's what pisses me off about like my modern, like in the union I'm in now. You know, I've noticed like they don't get people who come into the union by saying, you know, this union, you know, will give you solidarity. You know what I'm saying? It'll give you class action against, you know, the employer class. They try and rope people in by like, you know, saying like, oh, well, we are basically a team of lawyers, you know, or we basically, you know, we have great, you know, insurance and things like that. They never really appeal to like the class nature of these things anymore. And I think that's a grave mistake, because if there is a reason for us to strike, you know what I'm saying, that gives room for people to have divisions inside the union itself. So, you know, that's one of those things that I'm going to definitely be pushing against in my union, you know?
Yeah. I see exactly what you're talking about. That's, and yeah, it is a paternalistic thing too. I was a little off in the way I was describing it. Paternalism is the right way to look at it. And that's actually the reason why, or part of the reason why I have the term boss in my handle, is because people have this like attitude of like, I want to just be part of the thing. I want to be like sort of subservient to it and kind of follow the rules and do what I'm told. But I think that in order to actually be effective as like a socialist or revolutionary, or even just like a liberated worker, you have to be like a boss. You have to be like your own boss. And that we need to sort of bring back this idea of like personal strength and self-direction and stuff like that in order to get anywhere, because it's holding people back, this need to be told what to do. But it looks like that's going to be the end of our conversation. You're saying that you got to go?
Yeah, I gotta go soon, but I will say, like, yeah, you know, that's another thing that really we gotta overcome, and it's been like, you gotta realize, like, historically, like, where this comes from, and like, when we're talking to people in the modern era right now, when we're talking to people in their 20s or even their 30s, you know what I'm saying? We're talking to people that have had no like attachment to anything but like this moment in history. You know what I'm saying? So they literally have never comprehended anything that does not involve some type of power dynamic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only thing people know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might not have been true for even the boomers. You know, the boomers are the ones that really started establishing this dynamic because they grew up under the care of the golden era people that really fought, you know, for the things that boomers took for granted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But but you see what I'm saying? It's a one thing builds on the other. And so that's how we got to understand when we talk to people like that these people have never even begun to think of anything like this, you know?
Yeah. They're too trapped in the mindset of the present.
Right.
But, yeah, that's great contribution.
But it can be overcome. It can be overcome. We just got to keep fucking working at it, man. And like, I don't even know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but I know that I am just a man who wants to, you know, spread the truth about the way that things are, you know, and help people the best I can. And I feel a lot of that, you know, comes from just talking to people, man, just like how we are now. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I got to go.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for coming on. Great contributions.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Definitely. Take it easy, guys.
Yep, solidarity. And don't forget to agitate, educate, and organize.
Solidarity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, agitate, educate, organize. Thank you. Later, guys.
All right. See you, Trute. That's Best Trute. You can find on Twitch if you want to watch streams sporadically right now, but with the help of the union, might be able to do it more regularly. We'll see.
Yeah, shout out Trute.
It's missing an H somewhere between the C and the R.
You're right.
Heads up.
Damn it. Oh, I wish somebody had told me that before. That's it. All right, that's the and actually let me copy that and put that in the chat so that people can just click on it directly. That was our guest, another leftypol user who's streaming in, trying to bring people to the site and just chilling out playing video games. Whereas we're reading the news, and I've heard that there's munitions being used now in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. So I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit on this.
Okay.
We're not fucking moving! We're not gonna you're fucking wrong!
We've got some people over here.
We're not fucking moving!
There were some interesting developments in the Indian communist situation today.
Yeah, I just read a story before you all of you came on about that. There was
Yeah, it was interesting because this time it was Maoists in Kerala.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was a different story.
And they're interesting.
Was it? Okay, the story I was looking at wasn't Kerala, I don't think. It was
It was in a place called what was it called?
Kojikodi?
Yeah, that's Kerala.
Okay, I didn't see Kerala.
Yeah.
You were on the article. Okay.
Yeah, that's the name of a city in Kerala. Kozhikode is how it's pronounced.
Okay. Cool. Can you pronounce that again? Could you pronounce the name of the...
So this one is tricky, right? Because this is the case of, like, a syllable that just doesn't exist in English.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the ZH. But it's called, Korikut. Kori. It's a very weird sound on the ZH.
Is it like an R?
Korikut.
It's kind of like an R. It's like an R and a Y together. But you could also just use, if you want to be a settler, you could use the British name Calicut.
They called it Calicut?
Calicut. C-A-L-I-C-U-T.
That doesn't sound.
And they're used interchangeably.
But it's like Koriko. Koriko.
This video. Share it.
I don't know if I'm gonna get it all close. But I read that story a little earlier. I'll reopen the thing if you want to talk about that.
Maybe I'd say let's wait and see where this is going, because this is quite interesting. But yeah, maybe the next time it pops up, I'm sure News Anon is kind of like...
Yeah, News Anon seems to be following it.
He's been on the mark about it.
There's a few stories that News Anon's been following, so... Let's see, Clash has Status Quo's stream up on the happening. I'm not sure if they've got that in Woke. Doesn't look like it. Let me copy. I mean, like, also, anybody who wants to watch that stream can hop over to the Happenings stream, because that's more direct, and it's not going to stutter like this video will on mine. If we want to watch that, I've been at this for 3 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah, how about we move over there?
What?
We can move over there, but you're really, you're a fucking champ. You've been really pushing through all of these. It's very impressive.
I've done streaming before. It's not something that I'm new at. I've done like 24-hour streams before. But I appreciate the compliment. I'll
follow your lead.
I need to build up my endurance a little bit better, but I don't know. So far, it seems like they're kind of just hanging out at the fence. Oh no, they do have Status Quo right in the middle here. That's the same stream. That's the same stream that they've got on the Happenings site too. Well, I don't know. If anything really pops off, I'll call it quits. But I'm cool with like reading some articles or something, as long as nothing too crazy happens. Or if you want to like comment on these events at all or something.
Yeah, I prefer like just chilling out. Like it's nice to see the stream, but it can get a little boring if like there's no one like commenting on something. So I think it's nice to have both.
Stimulants to make 24-hour marathons go guy with easy. I just used coffee. That was enough for me. I didn't use any other performance-enhancing drugs. Given.
Podcast-enhancing drugs.
Podcasting.
Yeah, true.
Perfect. All right. Well, it sounds like this is getting a little bit more chaotic right now. Like people might be throwing some things. I'm not entirely sure. I've got an eye on the Happening thread too to see like if anything's announced over there. But yeah, this isn't really. Status Quo is another one of the on the ground journalists who has like really good. Maybe when I end, I'll raid Status Quo, because that's another good show. And this is their Twitch stream. Let's see, I'll turn off the guest. Truth's gone now. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all have any thoughts about these recent protests? We kind of covered like the basis earlier. I don't know if there's any analysis you want to add.
I think it's the wait and watch stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've like kind of repeated myself over these days about how these things are like just like adding fuel to the fire, like adding drops to the glass, and it's an ongoing problem that can't be fixed. It can only be mitigated, and only temporarily. So I think it's good to keep an eye on it. Obviously, like, I wouldn't get too excited. The U.S. is a huge country with a lot of like different quote unquote nations inside the U.S. So every nation is different. So I wouldn't like to make like any sweeping generalizations of like even like the black community or whatever. Like each black quote unquote nation is different. And they face different stuff, and so yeah, I'm like cautiously optimistic about these things, that they reveal something that's happening on the background.
Yeah, and Gibbon just put it in the chat. A really good metaphor that Chris Hedges was using is we're seeing tinder accumulating, waiting for a match.
True.
Of course, I would also add,
but yeah, like
there's like long-standing conflicts beneath that, even like big logs that are going to start a huge bonfire once the tinder goes up.
Yeah, I don't know what a good metaphor for me is. Like, I see these things as like like a pressure cooker that sometimes releases pressure. So I see these protests dating back to like the Ferguson riots, and like maybe even to like the LA riots at some point. I mean, I'm not really a U.S. historian, so I don't know. But there's also like a lot of this like energy comes from Operation Wall Street as well. That's more like on anti-capitalist side of the BLM movement. But so yeah, like a lot of moving parts, but it's like an ongoing process. Like Bernie, a lot of like Bernie energy that was accumulated, what has been like being released in these protests. But yeah, like I think this is like a symptom of something that has been happening for many years, and it's only getting more intensive, like more dire.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It looks like, cops looks like they're firing stuff off now. Something popped earlier. I'm not sure if it was a flashbang or fireworks. But it looks like they're starting to maybe do the offensive for the night. We'll see. Last night they pretty cleanly marched everybody out of there. Didn't take them very long at all. But it seems like they're more organized today. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get a chance to tell our guests earlier, Bash Trute, about this. But earlier in this, while I was streaming and listening to Woke's coverage, there was somebody in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, who was giving a really good class conscious speech about the need that this is like a much larger problem, much more long-standing problem, and that in order to do anything about this, we need to organize people and be ready to deal with like much bigger problems than just this stuff. It was also, it sounded like, I'm not entirely sure, sounded like the same guy was warning everybody about feds sneaking around and corrupting stuff, and to be on the lookout for people co-opting the movement. So it sounded like exactly the right kind of person that they needed to have there to keep this from just fizzling out.
Jules asks, in Minneapolis, are they at the courthouse fence?
I'm not sure. This is not Minneapolis. This is Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis. So the Minneapolis courthouse, they're not protesting like the Chauvin trial or whatever. This is because there was a police killing on Sunday. So I think this is the police precinct. It also got some Dallas Texas protests up on the top. Oh fuck! I'm losing my proprioception a little bit. Yeah. So this is because of Dante Wright's killing. So this should be. I knew you were aware, Jules, but there's like other people who are on the stream who may not be. People come and go, so it is useful to repeat some of that stuff. You just gave me a good opportunity. Yeah, so this is like protesting over the killing of Dante Wright, and I think they're at the precinct, the police precinct. Sorry, I always like try to cover basic stuff like that because I know people who don't know are probably seeing it. So I forget to like couch that, saying like, I know that some viewers know this, but yeah, I'll get better at that.
Yesterday I was seeing the stream and it felt like there was like a huge, like maybe like 200 cops making like this like Roman, maybe not Roman, I don't know my history, but this like line with like 3 layers of cops. But I felt there was like maybe like 30, maybe like 40 protesters. This was when there was like the Dollar Tree and the
yeah.
What was it? The gas station.
Right.
So is it popping more today? Like it feels like there's a lot more people and they're more organized. Like,
well, it's worth noting that Dante Wright was killed on Sunday, and people were immediately going out protesting on Sunday. And then Monday, people probably didn't have like a whole lot of flexibility to just go out that like the next day. But this is Tuesday, so it's been a couple days. People have had more time to figure out what's going on and get out and do stuff. So it makes sense that they're more organized now. But yeah, it seemed like last night they had maybe 200 cops or so. It was a mixture of, it looked like SWAT team and state troopers. Not a lot of regular, like, beat cops, and I didn't see any National Guard, I don't think. But yeah, like you were saying, like the Roman formation, they were doing kind of a, what do you call it? The Tortuga formation, where they all get their shields and hold them up in front of themselves, and it's like a solid barrier because they're shoulder to shoulder. They were kind of doing that. Oh no, testudo, that's the term. I had the wrong language for the word turtle. Testudo is the name of it. They didn't do like the full thing, but yeah, they were doing the shields side to side. And they were just kind of slowly walking forward and pushing people back without any real resistance. People would occasionally throw something, but that'd be it.
Yeah, and the stream here in the center is doing like that Spartan stuff, like the movie, or was it like 300? That they have like a bunch of umbrellas.
That is the testudo formation, and that's basically what you do is you have a bunch of shields and you form a solid wall. What the cops were doing last night was just, oh shit.
It helps with the gas too, right?
Yeah, the gas canisters will like bounce off umbrellas and shit. Although one of the most effective things for that is the traffic cone, and last night somebody was walking around with the traffic cone and had like the opportunity and just plopped it down on top of one of the gas canisters and neutralized it immediately. Somebody else had the hockey stick that they were using to knock them back.
So police are going to start.
So the center stream now is Scraps National News. Status quo is down in the bottom. It's still the audio source though.
And just to let you guys know, the only thing that the protesters here have to fight back are water bottles. That's all. That's all they're throwing.
So it seems like there's a lot more people tonight, but not like phalanx. Oh yeah, phalanx is the another. So phalanx is when you've got like a wall, and the testudo formation is when you have like the wall and then like a bridge over top where you have the front line puts the shields forward and everybody behind them puts them straight up. So you have like a complete blockage from like arrows and shit. But yeah, phalanx is the shield wall.
Hey, so I got to bounce.
All right, yeah.
Thank you for having me again.
Sure
Big
thing.
hug.
Yeah.
Thank you for the chat. Big hug to the chat as well. Yeah, and see you soon.
All right.
Yeah, big hug, Mike.
Yeah, see you, Mike. All right. Yeah, I think it might pop off soon. Yeah, there we go. We got a bunch of gas now.
Yeah, I was gonna actually hit out myself, so now might be the time for me at least.
Yeah, all right. So we're gonna raid Status Coup. We'll raid Status Coup with the Twitch channel, and I'll cut off. And anybody who wants to keep watching, I'll advise you to go check out the Happenings SciTube. I'll post that in the SciTube chat. Hell, I'll even post it in. Nobody's on YouTube. I think everybody on Twitch is in the SciTube. So there you go. You can click that. Anybody who hangs out on Twitch, we're gonna go raid Status Coup.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right, see you, Simone.
All right, bye.
All right, let's just take a second to set up. I believe that is. Just gotta type that in. All right, we're gonna raid him in 7, 6, 5, 4. Remember to agitate, educate, and organize. All right, and YouTube is still going, so I'll cut that off first.